Live. You're watching News 6 at 3.
And welcome to News 6 at 3 o'clock, everyone. We start at 3 in the nation's capital, where the acting attorney general and the FBI director are set to speak any moment now on the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. This happened Saturday night. We're expecting to learn more about the federal charges that 31-year-old suspect Cole Allen is now facing. As soon as this press conference starts, we will bring it to you live.
Glad to have you with us here. This is News 6 at 3 o'clock. We're live inside the News 6 newsroom. Of course, as Ginger said, as soon as that begins, we're going to bring it to you live right here. We also have some big stories going on in Florida, including the governor who just unveiled a new plan to redraw districts in the state of Florida, and this could have a huge impact on national elections. So let's talk about it. Here's the current district map for Florida representatives in Congress. 28 districts, 20 of which are held by Republicans. District 20 was vacated by Democrat Sheila Cherfilus McCormick last week, but Governor DeSantis just unveiled a new proposed map. It would keep the state at 28 districts, but redraw them to increase Republican control. That would bring it up to 24 Republican districts. The governor says the state's population has grown dramatically and districts need to reflect where people have moved to. But state Democrats say it's a way for Republicans to just grab more seats in Washington. Right now, Republicans head into midterms with a narrow 6-seat lead. With 5 vacancies, redistricting is going to be a hot topic at this year's special session, along with passing a budget, which they still have not done. AI and vaccine exemptions. That special session begins tomorrow, and we will be following it very closely.
Yeah, some important things set to happen there. Well, federal agents are searching for a truck driver who was last seen on I-95 in Brevard County in what they are now calling some sort of hijacking.
Yeah, so he picked up a bunch of cars, put them on this truck up in Georgia, was headed down to Miami, but didn't actually make it past the rest stop in Grant, Valcaria. News 6's Amy Russo has more on this story.
From morning to night, this rest area in Grant, Valcaria typically stays pretty packed with all of these trucks. I did speak with some truck drivers who tell me now they're going to be taking some extra safety precautions. A packed rest stop in Brevard County. It's also the last known stop of Alejandro Gonzalez.
Kind of shocked and speechless, you know. My thoughts are with him, and I hope everything turns out okay with him.
According to the FBI, on April 16th, Gonzalez was at the Port of Brunswick in Georgia, where he loaded several vehicles onto his hauler. Around 1:21 a.m., he stopped here in Brevard County. Then, around 7:49 a.m., the GPS on his truck shows he drove south just one exit and turned around. That's when he became unreachable, and the truck was reported missing. The next day, the hauler was found in Georgia, missing some of the vehicles and, more importantly, Gonzalez. The FBI is really focusing its search efforts right here. That is the off-ramp onto I-95 South. The feds, they're looking for any videos or photographs from the time of Gonzalez's disappearance to help in this investigation. Jeffrey Simpson has been a truck driver more than 40 years and says the situation is shocking.
I don't normally worry about where I park or being confronted by people. I never have been in almost 40 years. But things are getting worse as time goes on. You know, people are getting broke into their trucks, the freight's getting stolen, kidnapping people. So I don't know that I'll change my routine any. Maybe a little more cautious if somebody knocks on the door, but I've always been cautious about that. You don't just pull your curtain open and let somebody see you.
If you have any information on this case, you're urged to contact the FBI. In Brevard County, Amy Russo, News 6.
All right, we have a stern warning this afternoon from the Orange County Sheriff for anyone looking to cause big problems in public spaces. And there's a reason for this warning. The Sheriff's Office says 54 deputies were called to Icon Park around 7:30 Saturday night. That's where they say that there were more than 1,000 teens there and fights were breaking out all over the place. Deputies broke up several fights and got the crowd to eventually thin out. 9 people were arrested in this, facing charges ranging from battery on a law enforcement officer, resisting with violence, and trespassing.
To the parents, I would say, invest your life in the lives of your children, know what your children are doing, and monitor their social media as well. Because if just a quick probably search on your child's social media would have let you know that there's going to be a teen takeover at this Icon Park, so no, you're not allowed to go there. So asking parents to get involved in their children's lives and know that, hey, some of these are very, very serious crimes.
Yeah, during the so-called teen takeover, 2 deputies were hurt and taken to the hospital. They have already been released, though.
It's a busy area.
Really, on a Saturday night?
Oh, yeah. It's jumping. Well, the family of a missing college student is worried. They are preparing for the worst now as they wait to try to hear for their loved one. This, of course, is in regard to those 2 USF students who have been missing for more than a week now. Hillsborough County deputies found human remains in the water near I-275 in Tampa. It's the same area Zamil Lemon's body was found. His body was found on the Franklin Bridge Friday. He was in a relationship with Nahida Bristi. Both were USF students. Investigators have been looking for going on 2 weeks now. There's been no word on if those remains are Bristi's or if there's anything connecting her to that scene, as her family just holds out hope that she'll come home.
This is unimaginable, and my parents are barely coping with the whole scenario, and it's still sometimes I feel like maybe this is a dream, maybe this is not happening, maybe it's just a bad dream and I'll wake up and things will go back to normal. And every time I fall asleep, I wake up, I just pray that maybe I'll check my mobile and I'll get a call from my sister.
I wish it were a bad dream. The man accused of killing Limon is Heshem Abergabi, who is due in court tomorrow. He's facing 2 counts of first-degree murder for Limon's and Bristi's deaths, among several other charges. Now, our CBS affiliate in Tampa is also reporting that he asked ChatGPT a number of questions in the days leading up to their disappearance, including what happens if a person is put into a black garbage bag and thrown into a dumpster. State Attorney General James Uthmeyer announced this morning that following those new details, the state's criminal investigation into OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, will include the USF murders. And that was also brought up during the FSU mass shooting that took place last year.
It's a whole different world we're in right now, but just thinking about those families waiting for word of what is happening with that story. All right, we are trying to learn more about a man from Central Florida who was arrested in what can only be called a bizarre case. So listen to this. Morgan Lentz of Melbourne was arrested in Martin County, just north of Stewart. This was last Wednesday. A lot of people called 911 saying they saw him walking with a torch, lighting multiple spots on fire along the road. Then detectives say that was after he tried pouring gas on cars in downtown Jensen. When deputies found him, he had the torch with him and what's described as a samurai sword. The fire was put out without causing much damage. Lentz was arrested and charged with intentional or reckless burning of lands, criminal mischief, more than $1,000, and resisting without violence.
Well, we know some folks will do pretty much anything to go viral. And we are just learning about 2 new people getting in trouble with the law, doing some pretty silly stuff. Take a look.
You see that? My goodness.
Apparently he doesn't know how to drive this thing very well, but these 2 knuckleheads were driving a lawnmower through the target on Southwest College Road on Saturday in Ocala. They damaged the door. One could be seen driving the mower, the other recording, but both were arrested for disorderly conduct. Police also say the one on the lawnmower used a leaf blower inside the Culvers just down the street the night before. He was charged with criminal mischief and disorderly conduct for that incident as well. So you can see they are trying to get some internet attention there.
You know, it's all fun and games until someone gets hurt, because that's a real lawnmower in a store where you're not expecting it. It's not a Home Depot. It's not. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
It's not a Tractor
now,
Supply.
Don't go driving your lawnmowers into Home Depot either. But
No, but at least you would expect to find it there. You're just walking down the aisle, maybe with your kids.
yeah, you could.
You know,
run
and you
over
hit one.
anybody
Yeah,
with one of those
exactly.
things.
It's terrible.
Terrible idea.
Yeah.
All right, after the break, the concerns people living in one city have as the county is asking to dip into their pockets.
And a lot of you are still talking about a story we did last week about an attorney who was jailed for resisting or representing people in a lawsuit against their HOA. We're going to talk about that when we come back. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going live now to Washington, D.C., where federal law enforcement officials are speaking about the shooting attempt at the White House Correspondents' Dinner from Saturday night. Let's listen in.
The act was stopped because of the courage and, that horrible act was stopped because of the courage and professionalism of law enforcement. The officers who responded without hesitation and did their jobs as they were trained to do. Secret Service agents promptly tackled and detained the suspect, Cole Thomas Allen. The president and all the protectees and participants at the dinner were safe. One brave officer was injured and is receiving care and has been released from the hospital. I want to make this clear. This man was a floor above the ballroom with hundreds of federal agents between him and the President of the United States. The Department of Justice approaches incidents like this with urgency and clarity of purpose. Violence has no place in civic life. It cannot and will not be used to disrupt democratic institutions or intimidate those who serve them, and it certainly cannot continue to be used against the President of the United States. We are investigating this matter fully. We will apply the law fairly, and we will ensure that accountability is swift and certain. But we also should recognize what did not happen. Law enforcement did not fail. They did exactly what they are trained to do. This was not an accident. It was the result, as we know now, of preparation. But the men and women who protected us that night were trained, professional, and had an enduring commitment to the rule of law. Today, the Department of Justice filed 3 federal charges in United States District Court against Cole Thomas Allen. The first count is attempted assassination of the President of the United States. This count is punishable by up to life in prison. The second count is interstate transportation of a firearm to commit a felony. This is punishable by up to 10 years in prison. And the third count is discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence, which is punishable by a mandatory minimum term of imprisonment of 10 years, a maximum of life, and the 10 years is consecutive to any other sentence imposed. Just to go through very quickly the timeline, which many of you in this room already know, the defendant, Allen, made a hotel reservation at the Washington Hilton for April 24th through April 26th. On April 21st of this year, he traveled by train from Los Angeles to Chicago and then from Chicago to Washington, D.C. On April 24th, he arrived in Washington, D.C. at approximately 1 o'clock in the afternoon and checked into the Washington Hilton. Approximately at 8:40 on the night of April 25th, Allen approached a security checkpoint on the terrace level of the hotel, which is again a floor above where the dinner was taking place. He ran through the magnetometer holding a long gun. As he did so, U.S. Secret Service personnel assigned to the checkpoint heard a loud gunshot. One Secret Service officer was shot in the chest, but was wearing a ballistic vest that worked. This heroic officer who was hit fired 5 times at Allen, who was not shot but fell to the ground and was promptly arrested. I want to thank everybody who worked tirelessly on Saturday, Sunday, and continuing today. This includes members of the FBI, and Director Patel is going to address that in a minute. It includes members of the Metropolitan Police Department who were immediately on the scene, the chief, the mayor, to make sure that law enforcement was available to do their jobs and had all the tools they needed to do so. And lastly, the United States Attorney's Office here in D.C., our U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro and her team. A prosecutor stayed up all night long, didn't sleep all day yesterday, making sure that we got what we needed from all over the country. It included search warrants in California, search warrants here in D.C., multiple interviews that have been conducted already of witnesses and of family members of the charged individual, and continue to work hard today. This investigation is ongoing. It's not complete. A lot of the information that the media is hearing through leaks or sources, some of it is true, some of it is not true, and at the right time you will hear information from us as appropriate. I'd like to ask our U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro to say a few words, and then followed by Director Patel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Cole Allen's journey of accountability in the criminal justice system starts today. Todd Blanche just indicated to you the charges. Those charges are only 3 charges that are in the complaint that has been presented in federal district court about an hour ago. There will be additional charges as this investigation continues to unfold. But make no mistake, this was an attempted assassination of the President of the United States, with the defendant making clear what his intent was. And that intent was to bring down as many of the high-ranking cabinet officials as he could. This is the kind of situation that we cannot tolerate. And as the Attorney General has just indicated, it could have been so much worse, but for the reality that we had the Secret Service as well as the Metropolitan Police Department and the FBI. Now, the facts make it very clear what this intent was. You may recall that it was on March 2nd that the president indicated that he would be attending this public event at the Hilton. And on April 6th, that's when Cole Allen first made a hotel reservation at the Washington Hilton for 3 nights, the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th. It was on April 21st that he traveled all the way from the West Coast, from his home near L.A. He gets to Chicago on April 23rd, and has been indicated he arrives in D.C. on the 24th, and he checks into the hotel at about 3 p.m. He stays overnight. He is very much aware that the president and the first lady entered the ballroom at 8 p.m. And it was at 8:40 that he made a decision to rush the ballroom. And thank goodness, law enforcement, the Secret Service, was able to prevent him from getting into that ballroom. He was not injured other than some kind of scrape on his knee. Now, as indicated, these are the weapons that the defendant had on his person. You can see that's a 12-gauge pump-action Mossberg shotgun. It's a .38 semi-automatic. He had at least 3 knives and all kinds of paraphernalia. So any suggestion that he wasn't there to do harm is absurd. We will prove when he purchased these guns. They were purchased in California. Why is that relevant? It is relevant because he crossed interstate lines with those firearms. And those are the firearms that he used on the night of the 25th, or attempted to use at the very least. Now, the manifesto also makes clear about his expected rules of engagement. You know, you can look at it and read it, and it may seem kind of la, but at the end, make no mistake, he says, I am targeting the administration officials. They are my targets, and I'm prioritizing from the top down, the highest ranking from the lowest. And I will not hesitate to get involved in any kind of encounter with anyone who blocks me from the president. Now, finally, let me say one thing. Within days of the president nominating me to be the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, I was at the scene of a double homicide where one Elias Rodriguez crossed state lines from Chicago with a firearm to commit a felony in the district. He's now indicted for the murder of 2 individuals, Laron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram, here in Washington. Not long after that, another individual, Ramanullah Lockenwall, crossed state lines, again with a firearm, with intent to commit a felony here in Washington. He traveled from the state of Washington. He is now indicted with the murder of Sarah Beckstrom, a National Guardsman, and the attempted murder of National Guard Andrew Wolf. Today, we have Cole Allen, another individual, charged with crossing state lines coming from California with a firearm with the intent to commit a felony here in the district. Let this be a message to anyone who thinks that Washington, D.C. is the place to act out political violence. And if you are willing to do so with a firearm and cross state lines, we will find you, we will track your steps from the inception of your plan, and we will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Washington, D.C. is not the place to travel to commit acts of violence. The Constitution and the laws of the United States permit us to register our views through our voices and our votes. What they don't permit is making your views known through violence, especially violence directed at the President of the United States. This is anti-democratic at its core.
Thank you, Judge. Excuse me. Thank you, General. This one hits a little differently. We were all there. Many of you were there. Many of you watching were there as well. The president was there. The vice president was there. The cabinet was there. And what you saw described by the general and the U.S. attorney is absolutely true. The president spoke on late Saturday evening with the message of unity and a backing of law enforcement, and we have followed through on that message of unity and the effectuation of law enforcement across this country. This FBI is grateful to the United States Secret Service, the Department of Homeland Security, and our interagency partners, including the Metropolitan Police Department, for swiftly jumping into action. All of us on there put us in a unique position, but all of us also acted uniquely. The Washington field office jumped into action immediately, sending a mobile command center to the scene, along with our evidence response technicians who showed up in speedy fashion to make sure we could collect the evidence that the prosecutors and the department needed to make this announcement today. Also on scene, you were told about the brave heroics of the United States Secret Service and other members of law enforcement, and that should be celebrated by every single American. They did exactly what they were trained to do. They stopped a massive attack from becoming even worse. They stood in the way, they safeguarded America, and they should be nothing but applauded for their bravery and their dedication to their mission and their selfless sacrifice to this country. The FBI, along with standing up mobile command units, evidence tech response team, and Washington SWAT on scene, also established our NC3, our National Crisis Coordination Center, almost immediately. And almost immediately in parallel, we stood up our command center at the Washington field office under ADIC Darren Cox's leadership. Throughout the evening, we immediately began working with our Department of Justice partners to find the evidence necessary to effectuate the legal process necessary and enter into the suspect's room at the Washington Hilton successfully and lawfully and obtain the relevant evidence for exploitation. That was on scene. Back at the headquarters division and the Washington field office, we were coordinating a national scale investigation that literally spanned from coast to coast. As you heard, FBI agents, along with the interagency, were immediately dispatched to the suspect's home in California, where we conducted interviews that provided critical information about this horrific attack. We also dispatched investigators and agents to New London, Connecticut, where we conducted further interviews that provided necessary information that you will find in this criminal complaint, as the United States Attorney has just laid out. While officers were working diligently through the night to conduct those interviews, we were also conducting interviews of witnesses on scene. Those interviews are ongoing. As you know, there was almost 2,000 people there. We are sifting through and prioritizing who to talk to, and we will get to each and every one of you with any bit of relevant information. Again, we ask everybody who has any relevant information, like I did on Saturday night with the president, 1-800-CALL-FBI. Any piece of information is information we want to have and must receive. On top of the on-scene response by this FBI, the headquarters response, and the Washington field office response, the FBI flipped on its enterprise-wide response to this critical incident. What does that mean? We dispatched fixed-wing assets across the country so that we could immediately transport evidence that was acquired in California and Connecticut and sent it to our laboratories in Quantico for analysis. We collected the shell casings on scene, including the firearms and the weapons that the judge talked about. Those were also sent to our Quantico laboratories for immediate analysis. America should be proud that this FBI acted with the urgency that was needed for the moment that we had to answer. The president rightly said that we will act in a unified fashion, and it's because of President Trump's leadership and backing of the blue, every single person in law enforcement that I stood with into the late evening hours on Saturday, early evening hours on Sunday, and all day yesterday and today are thrilled to wear the badge and defend this country. Each and every one of them deserves our thanks, and I encourage everyone listening to go out there and shake the hand of a federal agent or police officer and say thank you for doing their job. Thank you for training endlessly to make sure they meet the mission requirements. And for me, as the director of the FBI, I want to thank our headquarters components for working diligently with our prosecutors and make sure that the American public knows it's not just federal agents that do this work. It's our intelligence analysts, our support staff, our laboratories, our fixed-wing assets, our critical incident response groups, our hostage rescue teams. Agents sprung into action, got out of bed, and haven't slept since. These prosecutors haven't slept since, and I promise you they're not going to be sleeping. They are going to give you every piece of evidence. As the journal said, we will make public, when appropriate, to protect the integrity of this investigation, to make sure that due process is served, and we will meet the highest standards of the Constitution, as we always do. And that is when we will continue to disclose information. I know the public has a yearning for information. but just remind yourself of how much information you have already received, how transparent this administration has been. In less than 48 hours, you know almost every single thing we know. And what we have not told you yet, we will tell you in short order. So once again, from me, as director of the FBI, I want to thank the interagency. I want to thank the United States Secret Service and their director, Mark Wayne Mullen, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Attorney General, United States Attorney Pirro, and Ada Cox for springing into action on a night that should have been celebrating free speech, but we will be doing it again shortly, as the President said, and we look forward to seeing you all there.
Pierre.
2 questions, please. Beyond the evidence and what the judge described as the manifesto, what other evidence can you point to that tells us that the president was the primary target of the suspect?
So we're a day and a half into the investigation. As we talked about earlier, we were able to get multiple devices from various locations, the hotel room and also his where he lived in California. We have started that process. There's nothing more that would be appropriate to share at this time until we have thoroughly gone through it, which we're doing, and we'll share that information as appropriate in the future. Second question, go ahead.
Beyond the assassination attempts against President Trump, you had someone try to burn down the mansion where the governor lives in Pennsylvania. You had those state lawmakers attacked in Minnesota. You've had 2 Israeli embassy staff members murdered in the city here. You had the Charlie Kirk assassination. You had the National Guardsman killed in the city. Can you, each of you, describe the current threat environment and what DOJ's stance is about it?
Well, you just described the current threat environment pretty accurately, which is that the political violence and rhetoric has got to stop. And that's something President Trump said right after the incident on Saturday night. It's something that Carolyn Leavitt talked about a couple hours ago. It is something that is, when you have a president who and many people in this room, if we're going to be honest about it, have done it as well. They're just as guilty as a lot of people on X. When you have reporters, when you have media just being overly critical and calling the president horrible names for no reason and without evidence, without proof, it shouldn't surprise us that this type of rhetoric takes place. If you look at what it appears that this defendant had in his past, we're talking about somebody who is college educated, who has a job, who is otherwise living his life, and we'll find out more about him, as I expect, in the coming days and weeks. But he chose to do what he did, and so our threat environment is we are ready. I mean, I'm not going to go through what Director Patel just talked about with the way we responded, but this was something that we will always be prepared for, and it's sad that it has to happen, but it's not a new thing, unfortunately.
Have you been able to determine whether the gunman fired shots? If so, how many shots he fired, and who exactly, whose bullet hit the agent?
We want to get that right. So we're still looking at that. It appears, and I don't want to overstate because we are still looking at this, that there were five shots that law enforcement fired. We have all the evidence is being examined very carefully and expeditiously, and we'll know more soon. We do believe that, as the complaint lays out, that the suspect, that the defendant fired it out of his shotgun, and we know that happened. But as far as getting into exacting ballistics, I'm not going to do that today because it's still being looked at and finalized.
Thank you for taking my question. You personally have called for a construction of this ballroom at the White House. The president has called for this as well. Today, the National Trust president put out a statement, says that they're grateful that everybody's okay, but, and I quote, "We are not planning to voluntarily dismiss our lawsuit, which endangers no one, and which respectfully ask the administration to follow the law. Ballroom construction is continuing unabated until June 5th at the earliest because the injunction is on hold." Where does the Justice Department go from here? And then I have a follow-up on that.
Well, we filed a motion today asking the court to do what the plaintiffs refused to do. We absolutely believe that there is no better example of why this ballroom is necessary, aside from all the very positive things the ballroom will bring to this country and to Washington, D.C., than what happened on Saturday night. You guys, many of you all were there. That's one of the only places in D.C. that you can hold an event like that due to its size and the structure of what we need. So we're basically stuck at this point in the city with having an event like that at a hotel, so underneath a ton of hotel rooms. And so the fact that we, aside from the fact that the ballroom is spectacular, it's going to be beautiful, it's going to make this country look great every time it's used, it's also a meaningful safety issue. And so I very much wish that the plaintiffs and their counsel would take a different view, but if they don't, we are going to continue to fight in court like we have been, and hopefully the judges at the D.C. Circuit Court will do the right thing.
Are you aware of...
Not you, the red.
Thank you. Are you investigating connections that Cole Allen allegedly had to left-wing groups? I think one is called the Wide Awakes, reportedly.
Yes. Of course we're investigating that. Now you.
Are you aware of his video game development past, including a potential shooter-style RPG game?
I've seen the news reports that talk about that. I think that the positive and negatives of this type of case is that there's a lot of people investigating this man right now, including the FBI. But the only investigations that truly matter in the court of law are the ones that Director Patel and his men and women are doing. So we'll wait for them to do that and get an answer.
Just really quick, what do you know anything about his alleged Christian faith past? Because he said something about it in the manifesto.
I have read reports in the news, and I've read reports that say various things regarding his views of Christianity, his views in the past of Christianity, and I'm certainly not going to speak to news reports. I will wait, as I hope all of you would, for the investigation to continue until we actually have answers. Yeah.
Just a little technical question. You mentioned that you guys, so far, you think that Allen fired at least one shot. That doesn't say that in the affidavit yet, so I'm just curious if you can explain the discharging of weapon charge at this point.
Well, he's charged with violating 924C, discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence. So by definition, that charge means that it was discharged. I can tell you from what I know, with the understanding that we're a day and a half in, that this is the gun that he discharged. And as those of us that have ever shot one of these know, what happens when you shoot that is the casing stays inside the firearm, and then if you reload it, it pops it out. My understanding is that it was inside the firearm, but hadn't been ejected, which means that it hadn't been pulled back again. But again, I want folks to understand I'm the acting attorney general. I'm not on the ground doing the investigation, so I'm telling you what I've been told, and we'll if that information changes, I'm sure that we'll let you know. Yeah.
Just want to ask you about this letter that you posted yesterday that's sent from Brett Shumate to the plaintiffs in that lawsuit. It says that the Washington Hilton is, quote, demonstrably unsafe for the President of the United States. It said that with the ballroom, that Trump will no longer need to venture beyond the safety of the White House perimeter. Just engaging with those lines, was there an assessment in advance of the dinner that the Hilton was demonstrably unsafe? And if so, why was President Trump allowed to attend it? And then separately, just the idea that by building the ballroom that President Trump wouldn't need to go outside of the confines of the White House. I mean, is that something that the American people, should find acceptable, that the president would have to be, for major events, confined to the White House? It seems like kind of a castle situation.
That is obviously not what he means by that. And the fact that question comes with respect to President Trump is laughable in the extreme. I mean, laughable in the extreme. You have a president who willingly speaks with you guys multiple times a day, I would say 7 days a week. He is active all over the country. I think with that, keeping it to the four corners of that statement, when he says demonstrably, it's demonstrated by what happened on Saturday night. So that doesn't mean that the Secret Service would ever let the president go into an unsafe environment. I know that the director of the Secret Service will be focused on making sure that we always keep him safe. And by the way, as we said before, and as anybody that was in that room knows, we were safe. We were safe. We heard a lot of loud noises that at the time many of us thought could be guns going off. It was mostly plates falling because of the staff, understandably, were running. So my reaction to that is I'll leave anything with respect to security up to the great men and women of the Secret Service. But when we talk about having an environment like the ballroom, it's an environment like what you saw last night. So an environment where you have a unique blend of cabinet members, leadership of this country, leadership of Congress, reporters and members of the public coming together for an event like that. That's different than other public-facing situations, which I have no doubt President Trump will continue to do, as he said he would on Saturday night. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there, for FBI Director Patel, is there any other credible threats at this time related to events in the city, including King Charles, and then separately, the manifesto, I don't really want to give too much weight to this, did mention your name in it as someone that they maybe were not targeting. Do you want to kind of elaborate on that, and then also the political motivations there?
As to the latter, no. As to the former, the FBI and the interagency is constantly evaluating intelligence provided to us by interagency collection methods. Our partners in the federal and state and local levels, we are constantly relaying that information to the White House, to the Attorney General, to the United States Attorney, specifically here in D.C. And we will always assess each piece of intelligence and base it on the credibility that it was received and give it the due weight that it has. But as the U.S. Attorney has stated, and as President Trump's task force for Washington, D.C. has shown, we have reduced crime in this city by historic levels, and we will continue to do so. We will continue to safeguard the men and women that call Washington, D.C. their home.
All right, just a couple more.
Acting Attorney General, in paragraph 14 of the complaint today, it says that the suspect fell, and you said that he was tackled. I just want to see if we can try to make sure we understand.
Well, I think that both can be true. And I would rely on the complaint because that was sworn to by an agent and not by the words out of the acting attorney general, who most certainly was not there. But I think both can be true.
The U.S. attorney yesterday also mentioned that one of the charges possibly would be for assault on an officer, and I noticed today it's a different charge. Is this because you've determined that what he shot didn't actually strike the officer?
We're still looking at that, and I think that's something that you'll hear about in the coming days as we know the answer to that. It doesn't legally matter in that situation, but you know, when after an event like this happens, not surprisingly, there's initial charges that we consider. Then you have the U.S. Attorney's team and the FBI looking through the evidence and figuring out what's the best thing to do, and that's what you have. Right? Just one more question. Yeah.
I have two quick questions. One,
All right, two questions.
I just wanted to clarify, you said the one officer fired their weapon 5 times. Was that the only officer who discharged a firearm?
I want to be very careful in answering that question because this is, when you do ballistics evidentiary collection and research, it is very complicated. So when you fire a bullet, the bullet ends up somewhere. Sometimes you find it, sometimes you don't. And so from that, with that qualifier, we believe right now that there was 5 shots fired from the same firearm. But there's a team of folks looking at this that are experts, and the evidence collection team that were in that area of the hotel where the shots were fired will work all night. They have the evidence they collected, but it's not an exact science from the standpoint that, for example, the buckshot, when that shot, it scatters everywhere. Sometimes it just disappears, actually, depending on where it hits. So you don't have to, hopefully with that qualifier, that's where we are right now.
Question about the timeline, sir.
Hold on.
I just wanted to ask what law enforcement has learned about why he was targeting President Trump. Do you guys believe he was upset about a certain policy or a decision by the president?
The complaint lays out what I think is described as a manifesto, which is something that he allegedly sent to many folks, his family. That's what we have so far as his motivation. As the U.S. Attorney said a few minutes ago, what is clear from the complaint and from what we have so far is he was targeting President Trump. He described that in his manifesto. He was targeting administration officials. He described that. But as far as us understanding additional motivation, that's for the FBI and law enforcement. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, you've been listening to federal officials brief the nation on what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner Saturday night, including the 3 charges 31-year-old Cole Allen from Torrance, California, now facing in that attempt.
Still a lot more to learn. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Your Orlando Magic have the opportunity to set themselves up in the next step for success.
Don't jinx them, but it's been 15 years since they were able to make it out of the first round of the playoffs.
Jinx on.
All right, so.
Jinx is on. Jinx is on. I
This
think
is
every
Jamie's-
time I
Jamie
meet
the
you
Jinx
guys
say.
and do this, the Magic lose.
This is true.
So
Is
the
that
Jinx
what
is on.
Really?
Yeah, that happened last week.
No, but it's not going to happen
But
this
anyway,
time.
it's not happening next
We're
So
breaking
tell
it
us,
now.
this is a big deal, and they have the lead.
It's a huge deal. So if the Magic beat the Pistons tonight, the Magic go up 3-1 in their series, and then they're just one victory away from advancing to the next round, which would be the Eastern Conference semifinals. Now, if the Magic lose to the Pistons tonight, well then it's tied at 2 and it's a whole new series. And that's why they call Game 4 pivotal. You hear it all the time.
Pivotal Game 4.
Pivotal Game 4. It tips off tonight at 8 o'clock. That's a good thing because it's at the Kia Center where the
Thank
Magic
goodness.
have played really, really well. I was at Game 3 on Saturday at the Kia Center. Tremendous atmosphere. I'm sure the same will happen tonight. What the Magic need to do, though, it comes down to shot making, obviously. The Magic played better defense on Saturday. They went to the free throw line more times than the Pistons did and committed less turnovers. That was the key Saturday. Replicate that, and they're in good shape. News 6 Sports was at Magic shoot-around this morning, and here's what the guys had to say.
Learning from Game 2 is, you can't let your guard down, can't relax at any point in the game. First half, second half can't happen, can't give up big runs. And you have to know that, they're going to come out with a heightened level of energy and effort and desperation. And we need to have the same amount, if not more, Like I said, it's a lot of basketball left to be played.
I think Game 2, they were the aggressor, and I expect nothing different tonight. They're going to try to come out with the same spirit and mentality, and it's our job to shut that down.
Yeah, so notice they were talking more about Game 2 than Game 3. Game 2 was the game that the Pistons had to win at home, and Detroit got it done. So the Magic know what they're in for. The Pistons are going to come in as a desperate basketball team, making all the plays that they can to try and even up this series. But we know that the Magic play really well at home in the playoffs.
And they've been turning it on at the right time.
Absolutely.
Which is what we like to see.
I love that
Seems
4
like a different team,
is pivotal because you hate the do or die, must win. We're not there yet.
We're at the pivotal moment of the playoffs.
We're going to pivot.
I mean, it makes sense because it's right in the middle of a 7-game series. That's number 4. So we'll see what happens
I'll take
tonight.
it. All right. Thank you, Jamie.
All right.
Well, the Orange County Sheriff's Office and the FBI just announced a huge drug bust, I should say. My goodness.
They're busting those bugs.
I'm excited about the Magic. The Sheriff's Office says that they started looking into a group last August who investigators suspected was bringing in hundreds of kilograms of cocaine. They were bringing it in from Puerto Rico. Officials say traffickers were mailed the drugs. Detectives arrested 9 people and recovered 6 kilos of drugs, $1.1 million, and nearly 30 guns in all of this.
Did you say they mailed the drugs?
Mailed.
Well,
So
that's
another
just lazy. You're asking for it. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
right here on this 10-acre lot right off of Goldenrod Road. Orange County leaders are planning to put a 150-bed full-service homeless shelter. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Jarrell Baker. Now, we spoke with some neighbors who live across the street that say that it is a growing problem in this area, and they're hoping that facility can help out several people in need. Bruce Harrell says that he's struggling to find help in East Orlando.
There's nowhere to go. Next to stadium, across downtown area, something like that.
After 4 years on the streets, he's ready for a way out, but says options are few and far between.
All because it's a trespass, so you can't pull yourself anywhere. It's hard for us to find anywhere to put a tent, lay down on the ground, so
And neighbors say that he's far from the only one struggling.
They're all on the corner of Goldenrod and Colonial. Always out there with the signs. And I do my best to try and help them.
Samaritan Resource Center says that since 2020, the number of people they're serving has tripled in the area.
In 2020, we were seeing about 30 to 40 people a day. Now we're easily seeing 100 plus people a day.
It's why 7 minutes away on Goldenrod Road, Orange County leaders are looking to create a 150-bed full-service homeless shelter offering on-site food, laundry, and housing services.
I think that's great just because it'll help us, this community here. I don't see many people hanging around, and sometimes you feel bad for these people too,
County leaders say that those who stay will be screened and connected with services to help them get back on track.
That can help. I know for a fact that will help a lot of people.
Now, Orange County will be holding their first community meeting on Monday at 6 p.m. at the Goldenrod Recreation Center, so people can come, voice their concerns, and also ask questions about the proposed facility. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Jarrell Baker.
All right, so much happening here in Central Florida right now, including what happened Saturday night at Icon Park. They called it a teen takeover, and there were thousands of teens out there, and several fights were broken up. So Orange County Sheriff's deputies are talking about this, and that's one of the stories we're working on for News 6 coming up at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, there were also several arrests made in that. Your Orange County community correspondent Mike Valenti is going to have an update straight from the sheriff on that story. Plus, we're also following the latest on the search efforts for a missing trucker out of Brevard County. We'll have the latest on that for you coming up right after the break. Right now at 4, multiple arrests at Icon Park during a so-called teen takeover. What officials are telling us and what's next in the investigation.
And federal agents searching for a missing trucker who was last seen in Central Florida. An update on the investigation.
And hundreds of drivers arrested for super speeding. News 6 investigators look into the new law and how their cases are being handled.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 4.
Quite the scene over the weekend. About 1,000 teenagers descending on Icon Park for what's being called a teen takeover, ending in fights, arrests, and some minor injuries to deputies.
Your Orange County community correspondent Mike Valenti joins us now live from Icon Park with the latest on this. Mike.
Yeah, Ginger, Lisa, we know that the Orange County Sheriff's Office was anticipating some sort of teen takeover. It's not clear if they anticipated to this extent Saturday night here at Icon Park. And when that teen takeover ended, 9 teens were taken away in cuffs. Sheriff John Mina says his agency heard about this online ahead of time. They had a commander and deputies staged here Saturday night, but still about 1,000 teens showed up. Fights ensued. 54 deputies in total responded, 2 of whom suffered very minor injuries trying to break up those fights. Now, I did ask Mina if his deputies had any indication from talking to the teens why they're drawn to these so-called takeovers, which are typically born online on social media. Mina said the teens told his deputies it's just a thing to do.
We've seen other agencies try to address these street or beach takeovers, this one now happening in Icon Park. Have you identified anyone who was behind organizing this? Were there any organizers for this takeover?
Yeah, so obviously I've seen what's happened in other areas as far as promoters. So this wasn't necessarily a promoter. This was more organically through teenagers that passed along an attachment with not really any promoter name or organization or company on it. It's just, you know, and just talking to our staff and talking to the kids, it's unfortunately it's just it's turned into a thing to do for the kids.
So you heard there Sheriff Mina alluding to the fact that these are not new. This has happened in other places like Daytona Beach, and he expects there to be more in the future. In fact, he said he's aware of one that is supposed to happen in May. He is strongly encouraging teens to not show up to those teen takeovers because he's saying the same thing will happen, that they will be arrested if things get out of control. But he also says first line of defense, parents telling their kids do not go to these things. We're live from Icon Park. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Mike Valenti, News 6.
All right, Mike, thank you. New at 4, an update to a story we first brought you here on News 6 earlier this month. Lake County deputies have arrested a high school student in connection to a bomb threat at his school. They say he admitted to doing it because he had to use the restroom. So here's the backstory on this. According to the Lake County Sheriff's Office, Lake Mineola High School went into lockdown earlier this month after there was a tip about a possible gun on campus. That same day, the school board got a tip about a possible bomb threat posted to social media. Court documents allege Jeremiah Bolton was trapped in the parking lot because of the initial lockdown. He told deputies that he made the bomb threat because he was having stomach issues and needed to use the bathroom. Bolton was later arrested and is expected to be in court later this week.
Right now, Cole Allen, the man arrested during the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting, just went before a judge in a federal courthouse in Washington.
Moments ago, U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche announced the 3 charges he is facing: attempt to assassinate the President of the United States, which carries a potential life sentence; transportation of a firearm in interstate commerce with intent to commit a felony, that carries a potential 10-year sentence; and using a firearm during a crime of violence, which has a mandatory 10-year sentence. Prosecutors say Allen traveled across the country to carry out the attack and had a shotgun, handgun, and 3 knives in his possession.
But we also should recognize what did not happen. Law enforcement did not fail. They did exactly what they are trained to do. This was not an accident. It was the result, as we know now, of preparation. But the men and women who protected us that night were trained, professional, and had an enduring commitment to the rule of law.
AG Blanche says it is still an active investigation and more updates will be released in the coming days. And coming up at 4:30, CBS correspondent Natalie Brand will have more on the fallout from the shooting scare. Taking a live look over downtown Orlando at the Kia Center from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope cam. The Magic getting ready for Game 4 later tonight. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas joins us now for a first look at the forecast. So if anyone is heading out and about tonight, Jonathan, how are things looking?
Looking pretty good. I think the couple of showers that we have out there right now should be to the south and west of the center as we get towards the evening. So we do have a couple of these working their way back on shore. Titusville, we had a couple of stray showers around town. Now there's nothing too terribly heavy. Certainly no lightning out there. Most of these now drifting into Osceola County, even south of us in Deer Park and Naholapah tonight. You saw a little flare up of red heading towards the turnpike. Again, nothing, too terribly heavy at all, as it all kind of drifts off from the northeast back to the southwest. Most of these are going to fizzle out through the rest of the evening. If you are planning on heading down to the Kia Center tonight, again, things looking very nice. Just a few passing clouds in town. Air temperatures as you walk into the game back to the upper 70s. By the time the game is over, hopefully with the 3-1 series lead, we'll drop into the low 70s. Should be a very, very quiet night. We'll talk much more about the heat coming our way, guys, coming up in about 15 minutes.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. A major mystery along I-95, I should say, after a trucker hauling cars to Miami vanishes. The FBI thinks he may be the victim of hijacking, and the last place he was seen was right here in Central Florida. The driver, Alejandro Gonzalez, started his trip in Brunswick, Georgia, but it's what happened when he stopped at the rest area on I-95 in Grant Valcaria that has authorities concerned. News 6's Amy Russo is digging into what we know at this point.
From morning to night, this rest area in Grant Valcaria typically stays pretty packed with all of these trucks. I did speak with some truck drivers who tell me now they're going to be taking some extra safety precautions. A packed rest stop in Brevard County. It's also the last known stop of Alejandro Gonzalez.
Kind of shocked and speechless, you know. My thoughts are with him and I hope everything turns out okay with him.
According to the FBI, on April 16th, Gonzalez was at the Port of Brunswick in Georgia, where he loaded several vehicles onto his hauler. Around 1:21 a.m., he stopped here in Brevard County. Then, around 7:49 a.m., the GPS on his truck shows he drove south just one exit and turned around. That's when he became unreachable and the truck was reported missing. The next day, the hauler was found in Georgia, missing some of the vehicles and, more importantly, Gonzalez. The FBI is really focusing its search efforts right here. That is the off-ramp onto I-95 South. The feds, they're looking for any videos or photographs from the time of Gonzalez's disappearance to help in this investigation. Jeffrey Simpson has been a truck driver more than 40 years and says the situation is shocking.
I don't normally worry about where I park or being confronted by people. I never have been in almost 40 years. But things are getting worse as time goes on. You know, people are getting broke into their trucks, the freight's getting stolen, kidnapping people. So I don't know that I'll change my routine any. Maybe a little more cautious if somebody knocks on the door, but I've always been cautious about that. You don't just pull your curtain open and let somebody see you.
If you have any information on this case, you're urged to contact the FBI. In Brevard County, Amy Russo, News 6.
The fate of a special education school in Volusia County is up in the air. The Chase Academy in South Daytona has served hundreds of students with autism over the years. Now they are getting thrown out of their building. Your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed has the story.
The Chase Academy has called this small home for over 15 years, but now they have just weeks to finish school, close up shop, and find a new location for 73 students and 30 staff members. The money for a move isn't in the budget right now, though.
A huge shock to us. I mean, we have just sunk tens of thousands of dollars into making this facility what it looks like today. And, we wouldn't willingly leave it.
Founder Miriam Lundell says her team at the nonprofit school was gearing up to expand here. The school serves autistic and neurodivergent juveniles and young adults from around Volusia County.
We haven't been raising funds for a year to get it customized again. You know what I mean? We do have some savings that we planned for the expansion, But an expansion is nothing financially compared to starting over.
Lundell says she was just blindsided, told the landlord won't be renewing her lease and the Chase Academy needs to get out. Legally, the landlord didn't have to give her much more of a heads up. Lundell says a new company took over the South Daytona Plaza 2 years ago.
They think, well, one spot is as good as another spot. Who cares if you have to get up and move? But when you're a nonprofit, that is an expensive and normally highly planned expedition.
I emailed the Pinnacle Leasing and Management Group asking for comment or an explanation, but haven't heard back.
Probably very hard because they're out of state. So they don't know us. They don't understand the impact the school has on the county.
Now, I did speak with a few people who told me they were parents outside of here who told me that losing this school and location would be detrimental. Now, the landlord did give them an extra few weeks to finish up the school year and get out by mid-June, but Lundell says after that, they don't know what will happen. I'm your Volusia County Community Correspondent Molly Breed, News 6.
Well, we've been telling you a lot about a new super speeder law here in Florida.
It took effect last year, and so far, hundreds of drivers have already been arrested. Up next, News 6 investigator Mike DeForest is digging into the numbers and the legal process behind super speeding.
This portion of the news is sponsored by True Deals Realty.
Now to Marion County for an unusual situation involving two 18-year-olds, two businesses, and two lawnmowers. According to Ocala police, Janik Sakaradik and Luke Charsky were arrested after recording themselves riding a lawnmower. This happened through a Target, social media. Now, this happened Thursday. It happened yesterday on Southwest College Road. Police say the night before, Cherokee also used a leaf blower inside a Culver's restaurant. He was charged with criminal mischief and disorderly conduct for the incident at the restaurant and disorderly conduct for the incident at Target. Cherokee was charged as a principal to disorderly conduct in the Target case. Well, it has been more than 9 months now since Florida's new super speeder law took effect. Since then, authorities have arrested hundreds of drivers statewide for dangerous, excessive speeding.
But what happens to those drivers after they are booked into jail? And how are those criminal cases being resolved? News 6 investigator Mike DeForest has been digging for answers.
An Orange County deputy says this Mercedes was speeding 140 miles per hour.
Honestly, bro, I'm sorry for what I did, obviously.
Jordan Vactor was among the first people arrested under Florida's new dangerous excessive speeding law.
When I was in jail, people was like, "What are you doing here, Jordan?" And they explained, "He's a super speeder."
I caught up with Vactor at the Orange County Courthouse, where he and his attorney are still trying to fight the criminal charge.
How fast would you say you were going? I was definitely under 100, man.
Vactor says it's simply impossible for his Mercedes to reach the speed the deputy claims he was driving.
I'm just hoping and praying that the judge will be able to see the information I have. Take a couple steps back.
Jose Sermeno Herrera is among the first accused super speeders to receive additional jail time. After deputies arrested him for allegedly driving 120 miles per hour in July, court records show Sermeno Herrera pleaded no contest and was sentenced to 20 days in the Seminole County Jail. In October, an Orange County deputy claims this light blue Porsche was speeding through Walt Disney World at 120 miles per hour.
I was going to the Four Seasons.
Months after Leighton James was handcuffed and taken to jail, his case went to trial. A jury ultimately found James not guilty. I obtained audio from that trial.
Were you speeding?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How fast were you going?
I believe about 80.
During the trial, James's attorney was able to get evidence thrown out from the deputy's radar and laser. Without that key evidence, the deputy could only testify that he saw James speeding by looking in his side view mirror.
Not guilty verdicts like that one are extremely rare, but other accused super speeders have managed to avoid additional jail time. In many of the cases I reviewed, drivers pleaded no contest. Depending on the circumstances, judges issued fines ranging from about $500 to $1,000, and in some cases, the motorists were ordered to attend aggressive driving school. Mike DeForest, News 6.
It is interesting to follow up and see what actually happens in court and how these people are now trying to fight some of those charges.
I mean, there's obviously something to it if we're talking about hundreds of people in a short period of time.
Yeah. Well, this brings us to our poll question today. We asked, how much faster do you drive above the speed limit? Most people responding within 10 miles per hour. I think that's the acceptable
They're trying not to incriminate themselves,
right?
yes.
Yeah. You can vote by heading over to the story on clickorlando.com.
Let's plead the fifth up here.
If it's Ginger in the parking lot
on a Friday
after her shift,
Gone.
Listen,
you know
guys.
it.
Watch out.
Absolutely. Hey guys, we have a couple of downpours. Always, of course, make sure you're going slower than that if there is rain out there. We don't have a ton on the radar. We do have a couple of very, very light showers moving from the Atlantic back onto land. And I think this is what we're going to see as we move to the overnight hours as well. The opportunity for your morning commute for a couple of showers just right along the coast. They are few and far between tonight. You can always track any kind of downpour. And as we get ready to head into the wet season over the next 6-ish weeks, the free News 6 weather app is a great tool to kind of track those downpours and thunderstorms right to your location. So here we go, 5, 6 o'clock. Again, most of that stuff that we see out there pretty much fizzling out. Now, once we get into tomorrow morning, there's through lunchtime, a couple of these itty-bitty green dots that are popping up on the future clouds and rain. We're going to keep that breeze out of the east and northeast off of the Atlantic to help generate a few stray showers. Still, though, most of us are going to be dry tomorrow. There's 11 o'clock on your Tuesday evening. Tomorrow evening, we're still looking pretty good. Just a few stray showers, again, trying to sneak on through from the northwest. Most of us are going to be dry over the next couple of days as we really work to warm things up. A few dark clouds out there hanging out at sea. That's a live look in Daytona Beach with our Daytona Beach Skycam this evening. A little choppy out there on the water. We're back to the mid-70s. The breeze It's out of the north-northeast at about 18 miles an hour. That is sustained. That is why we have things pretty choppy out there. We're going to keep things pretty choppy at the beach over the next couple of days. Will be nice weather-wise, though. I think a few extra clouds trying to sneak onshore with that stray shower for the first part of the day. That rip current risk on the moderate side, that may go up again as we watch that breeze kind of perpendicular into the shoreline. Always be mindful of that and watch what the lifeguards are telling you. Again, if you see a red flag, it means just use extreme caution in the water. Sanford, good evening. We are at 81 degrees. Ocala, we are back to the upper 70s. Cocoa Beach, we are checking in at 82 degrees at this hour. Tomorrow morning, we start things off on the milder side. Should be a very nice morning again. We're back to the mid to upper 60s, hanging around 60 in Ocala, 60 degrees in Denellen to start things off. A little bit warmer as typical right along the Space Coast. Tomorrow afternoon, a little bit warmer, back to the mid to upper 80s again. There's that very teeny tiny rain chance for those quick hitting showers moving in off the coast. That's pretty much all she wrote on that front, as all the active weather stays back off towards the north and west. Severe weather outbreak pretty much getting underway as we look towards the Missouri area, Illinois. That's associated with a strong cold front back toward our northwest. That is going to pretty much stay tied to the central part of the country, as we will continue to keep things relatively quiet and relatively warm for this time of the year over the next several days anyway. Certainly not the end all be all. Not going to run away with summer just yet. Still a couple of cooler days mixed in as we get ready to start May. But you see there, more often than not anyway, we are going to be on the hotter side. Pinpoint accurate 7-day forecast. 91 on Wednesday, back to the low 90s on Thursday. There are those limited rain chances until we get to the back half of your weekend.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. The legacy of a music icon dominates the box office.
Yeah, and a sweet treat in honor of Harry Potter's 25th anniversary. Up next, how the new Michael Jackson movie is performing, and we'll tell you where you can soon buy butterbeer.
Hey there, I'm News 6 anchor Lauren Melendez. New butterbeer flavored treats are coming to Cinnabon, and there's a big weekend for the new Michael Jackson biopic. Let's get right over to Caroline Woods in today's Money Matters. All right, Caroline, it was all about the King of Pop this weekend.
Hey there, Lauren. Yes, the legacy of Michael Jackson proved he's still the king of pop at the weekend box office. The Lionsgate biopic Michael opened to a record-setting domestic haul of $97 million. It topped $217 million globally. It smashed previous sales highs held by 2015's Straight Outta Compton and 2018's Bohemian Rhapsody. It's also among the most expensive biopics ever produced, with a price tag of nearly $200 million. That's according to Variety. The cost was split between Lionsgate and Michael Jackson's estate. Michael is also the second biggest debut of the year so far, behind the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which slid to second place. Ryan Gosling's Project Hail Mary rounded out the top three. I haven't seen any of them, but I did see the karaoke scene from Project Hail Mary.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it's so good, and that song has been in my head since.
Look, all of them need to be on my list. I will say, Michael Jackson, it's a story many of us already know. They have already made the movie so many times, and like you mentioned, he is still reigning supreme when it comes to his popularity. Really interesting. Okay, let's talk some food here. I've never not liked anything on the Cinnabon menu, and now we're gonna have some new treats. So let's eat into this right now.
Yes, if you're a Harry Potter fan, you'll like this, because Cinnabon is conjuring up two butterbeer flavored treats in honor of Harry Potter's 25th anniversary. Its butterbeer cinnamon roll enchilada drink will be in stores nationwide starting on May 4th. Rewards members can enter the promo code PLATFORM934 to receive a $2 coupon. It was a quarter century ago when the movie based on Book One, The Sorcerer's Stone, caught fire as a global movie sensation. The butterscotch-flavored beer made frequent appearances throughout the multi-film franchise over the years. Can't say I've ever had it, but I do wonder if butterbeer Cinnabons smell as good as the real thing, because nothing smells as good as a Cinnabon, right?
Telling you, you walk by any station in the mall or wherever you go, and it just hits you, and you can't walk away. So yeah, this will be interesting, that collab. And like you said, a lot of Harry Potter fans are going to love that. Caroline, thank you so much. Remember, for the latest money and consumer news anytime, you can always check our website, clickorlando.com.
If you've just had straight sugar, then you've had butterbeer.
That's all you need.
Yeah, more ahead on News 6 at 4:30.
Including the countdown to tip-off tonight, a preview ahead of Game 4 at the Kia Center, where the Orlando Magic is looking to take a 3-1 series lead over the Detroit Pistons.
Interrogation video when police say a 16-year-old confessed to killing her mom and her mom's boyfriend. Shouldn't have gone public, that girl's attorney argues. I'll share the latest update in the case.
Welcome back. We are following several top stories right now. 54 Orange County Sheriff's deputies responded to a so-called teen takeover at Icon Park over the weekend.
It happened on Saturday night around 7 o'clock. Investigators say nearly 1,000 teenagers were there. The Orange County Sheriff's Office says deputies arrested 9 people.
The FBI believes a missing trucker may be a victim of a hijacking. Alejandro Gonzalez was last seen over a week ago in Brevard County, hauling vehicles from Georgia to a port south of Miami. His truck was later found 300 miles away from the Brevard County rest stop.
The fate of a special education school in South Daytona is up in the air tonight. The Chase Academy has served hundreds of students with autism over the years, but school leaders just found out they have to move out of the Sunshine Plaza in June. Their lease was not renewed. The defense attorney for a teen accused of killing her own mother now says that girl is not getting a fair trial after police released video showing the girl being questioned.
Today, police shared even more video in the case. Your Palm Bay community correspondent James Barbero is digging into the controversial release and how this might affect the teen's upcoming trial.
Tell us what happened. I'm gonna ask you straight up.
Interrogation video when police say a 16-year-old confessed to killing her mom and her mom's boyfriend.
Well, you're basically saying that I did, so do you even need my answer?
Shouldn't have gone public, that girl's attorney argues, because now Julia Egler might not get a fair trial. In February, I gave you our first look at the 2024 body cam video when Palm Bay police questioned Julia, who they say really wanted to be called by the name Jasper. That dispute over Julia wanting to be a boy was her motive, police say, to shoot her mom.
I would always try and remind her that this isn't a phase.
The public defender argues the police interrogating the teenager tricked her into waiving her rights because Detective Ken Shedrick and Detective Nicole Brown told Julia she wouldn't face the same consequences in juvenile court. Ultimately, though, the state decided to prosecute Egler, who's still just 17 now, as an adult, and she's facing life in prison.
From what I've looked up and from my review of the motion, it is alarming.
Defense attorney Katie Rollo, who used to work for the public defender's office, told me that she agrees after the police shared the videos with the public, it could be harder to find a fair jury. So do you think they should have waited until trial to release these videos?
Absolutely. These videos, I don't personally think should have been released at all.
The defense is asking the judge to either throw the case out, prosecute Egler as a juvenile, or don't show those same videos I've shown you to the jury. It's all set to be debated in court next month. We'll keep you updated how it plays out. In Brevard County, I'm your Palm Bay community correspondent James Sparvero, News 6.
Magic momentum. The countdown is on for Game 4 between the Orlando Magic and the Detroit Pistons.
Orlando hosted the Motor City on Saturday and took home a victory, and tonight they are looking to take a 3-1 lead in the series. Paolo Banchero stepped up, scoring a team-high 25 points in Game 3. It was a tight contest, too close for comfort really at some points, but the Magic pulled away 113-105. A victory tonight would put them 1 win away from the next round, something this team has not seen in more than a decade. News 6 community correspondent Jarrell Baker caught up with fans from both teams.
Makes it different when you have playoff basketball here in Orlando.
The enthusiasm, the fans.
So what are you looking forward to, like in the Orlando area, this experience?
The weather. I'm from Detroit, so it's cold. We don't get much sun.
So tip-off is at 8 o'clock tonight. Sports director Jamie Say is at the Kia Center. She will have a live report coming up on News 6 at 6. And, of course, complete highlights coming up tonight at 11. Right now, Orange County Public Schools is bringing new life to an empty elementary school that had been open since 1927 until it shut down in 2023. But neighbors do not necessarily want it to reopen. News 6's Orange County community correspondent Jana Manahalal went to find out why.
That's right. Take a look at this sign here. It says, "Tell OCPS no." The neighbors here are very upset about the idea of Lake Cherokee High School opening to nearly 600 students because of all the issues it would cause.
I think it's a concern because, like, as we see right here with, like, what, this is like 10 cars or like less, it's already getting slightly congested.
Jonathan Cabral lives across the street from the proposed Lake Cherokee High School and is just one of the people that lives here who is not on board with the idea of a school opening in their backyard.
There's simply not enough space for these cars. And again, it's not even about us, but I think a very real point is the safety of the kids, because like they're kids, right?
The district plans to have a meeting at 6 p.m. on Monday to address some concerns. People who live here say their biggest complaint right now is traffic and where these kids are going to park. Vanos tells us, though, the district plans to remove the playground here to make additional parking spots. This building was an operating school up until 2023, but it now sits empty. Another concern is the number of students that could be coming. This 600-plus student number isn't exactly accurate anymore. She says it could be a lot less.
After continued conversations with the neighbors, they're now going to be proposing tonight having sort of a staggered schedule where there would be at most 250 students at the school on any given day.
Vanos tells us the reason OCPS is pushing so hard for this school is because it would be the first magnet technical arts program for Orange County. The location is also ideal. With it being a magnet school, it's central for the district and close to the downtown arts scene. Neighbors tell us that they do plan to go to the 6 p.m. meeting on Monday to express some of their concerns. We'll keep you updated as to what comes out of that meeting here and on clickorlando.com. For now in Orange County, I'm your community correspondent, Jana Manahalal, News 6.
The suspect in the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting is now charged with attempting to assassinate President Trump. Natalie Brand has the story from the White House.
31-year-old Cole Allen appeared before a judge accused of charging the security checkpoint in the hallway outside the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Allen is charged with use of a firearm during a crime of violence, transportation of a firearm with intent to commit a felony, and attempting to assassinate the President of the United States.
We should not live in a country where such constant fear of political violence permeates our society every single day.
Investigators say a manifesto allegedly written by the suspect revealed he intended to target Trump administration officials.
This is the third major assassination attempt against President Trump in 2 years. No other president in history has faced such repeated, serious attempts on his life.
No one inside the ballroom was injured, but a Secret Service officer was shot in his bulletproof vest and is said to be okay.
This latest incident raises new questions about security protocols around President Trump and a heightened threat environment.
Obviously, we do need to look at security measures when you're going to gather that many people there.
Monday, the White House again expressed confidence in the Secret Service, but Chief of Staff Susie Wiles will convene a meeting this week with Secret Service and the Department of Homeland Security to talk about protocols for presidential events, including upcoming America 250 celebrations. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Happening right now, President Trump is hosting King Charles and Queen Camilla in Washington. This is video from Joint Air Force Base Andrews as the King and Queen landed. The state visit will mark 250 years since the U.S. declared independence from Britain. This will be King Charles' first state visit to the United States since officially taking the helm as monarch in 2023. The 77-year-old royal, who is battling cancer, is expected to have a private meeting with the president and be honored with a formal White House state dinner. The trip comes as President Trump does not agree with UK's elected leaders over issues like the Iran war, but it will be put aside to celebrate the long-standing special relationship between the two countries.
It's the 250th between our two countries. I'm in a somber background after last night for all of us, but I still hope we'll be able to showcase this moment and make it the celebration that it deserves to be.
Last year, King Charles hosted President Trump for a historic second state visit to the UK, an honor typically given to each president only once. During his first term, President Trump was hosted by Queen Elizabeth II. Orange County is looking to help the growing homelessness crisis.
With a plan to build a new homeless shelter on an empty lot.
All the goods are trespass, so we can't pull stuff anywhere. It's hard for us to find anywhere to put a tent, lay down on the ground.
Up next, why some say it's a good idea despite the community concerns. A preview of what some might have to say about this later tonight. Plus,
it's a project to relieve traffic here in Sanford, but Oviedo is being asked to help pay for it. I'm your community correspondent, Mark Lehman. Coming up, why Seminole County wants the city to chip in on the 417 connector to the Sanford Airport.
Just a couple of very light, quick-hitting showers moving through parts of Central Florida, so you're very limited right now. Then it's all about the heat coming away. We're going to pinpoint that part of your forecast coming up at about 4:47.
And as we head to break, there is more to watch on News 6 Plus. Get caught up on Central Florida's news and weather patterns at a time that works for you at 9 o'clock every night. Or go on patrol with Trooper Steve. Get clear on Florida politics from Politically Motivated and celebrate the best of Central Florida with Are We There Yet? With the News 6 Insiders. You can watch it all right now. Just get the News 6 Plus app loaded on your smart TV. You can download our streaming app for free. Search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Original Mattress Factory.
A growing crisis could soon bring a big change to East Orange County. A vacant lot on Goldenrod is now being considered for a new homeless shelter aimed at helping dozens of people get off the streets and back on their feet.
But for neighbors who live right across the street, the plan is hitting too close to home. Your Orange County community correspondent Jarrell Baker tells us why some say help is long overdue, while others are watching closely as this proposal moves forward.
Right here on this 10-acre lot right off of Goldenrod Road, Orange County leaders are planning to put a 150-bed full-service homeless shelter. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Jarrell Baker. Now, we spoke with some neighbors who live across the street that say that it is a growing problem in this area, and they're hoping that facility can help out several people in need. Bruce Harrell says that he's struggling to find help in East Orlando.
There's nowhere to go. Next to stadium, across downtown area, something like that.
After 4 years on the streets, he's ready for a way out, but says options are few and far between.
All because it's a trespass, so we can't pull stuff anywhere. It's hard for us to find anywhere to put a tent, lay down on the ground. So
and neighbors say that he's far from the only one struggling.
They're all on the corner of Goldenrod and Colonial.
always out there with the signs, and I do my best to try and help them.
Samaritan Resource Center says that since 2020, the number of people they're serving has tripled in the area.
In 2020, we were seeing about 30 to 40 people a day. Now we're easily seeing 100 plus people a day.
It's why 7 minutes away on Goldenrod Road, Orange County leaders are looking to create a 150-bed full-service homeless shelter offering on-site food, laundry, and housing services.
I think that's great just because it'll help us, this community here. You know, I don't see many people hanging around, and you know, sometimes you feel bad for these people too, you know.
County leaders say that those who stay will be screened and connected with services to help them get back on track.
Get better help. I know for a fact that will help a lot of people.
Now, Orange County will be holding their first community meeting on Monday at 6 p.m. at the Goldenrod Recreation Center, so people can come, voice their concerns, and also ask questions about the proposed facility. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Jarrell Baker.
All right, turning now to our forecast. I hit the rain jackpot Saturday night. I got rain, and I was I didn't even know, I couldn't remember what it sounded like. It had been so long. Meteorologist Jonathan Keggs.
I didn't get any rain, but I certainly saw the thunder and lightning last night.
There was a lot of it across parts of Central Florida. It all depends upon location. We're talking about that on Friday, that there were going to be some downpours and thunderstorms out there, but it wasn't going to be enough to bust a drought. We'll get into some of those numbers in just one second. And few and far between. Certainly what we have out there now is not even close to what we had going on Saturday night or Sunday evening, but a couple of stray downpours pushing back on shore as well for us in Daytona Beach back to Port Orange. Most of these gliding just north of us in New Smyrna and Edgewater tonight. Again, quick hitting downpours sliding through, and most of these are going to fizzle out before we go into nightfall tonight. Here's a live look in Daytona Beach. Certainly you can see the drops on the lens. Ocean a little angry tonight as well. We have a stiff breeze out of the north and east helping to increase those wave heights a little bit. So just keep it easy again over the next couple of days as we are going to see the Atlantic churned up because of that stiff breeze. Right now we have air temperatures in the mid 70s. The airport reporting those showers that I just showed you on radar and that you can see on the lens right there. The breeze out of the north at about 20 miles an hour. That's a sustained wind. We have gusts at times pushing 30 miles an hour. Hopeful launch tonight. Again, we have the Atlas V going this evening. Hopefully 8:52 is the scheduled launch for that 20-plus minute window. There will be some clouds around along the Space Coast. Again, with that breeze out of the north and east, run the risk of a shower being around. The launch probability right now is holding at about 85%. So hopeful launch tonight with the clouds around, especially pushing inland. May not be able to get a good glimpse of this one. But here we go through the rest of the evening. There's 5 to 6 o'clock. I think by this point, as we get towards that 8 to 9 p.m. hour, most of us will be drying out, but you see the clouds hanging around. You see the motion back off of the Atlantic. Couple of these stray downpours also still in the mix because we keep our breeze off of the Atlantic, out of the east. So that's going to be our moisture source getting into tomorrow. That was around lunchtime. There's 11 o'clock tomorrow evening. Most of that stuff pushing out of there for now. We do have the opportunity again for a stray passing shower late Wednesday evening. You saw that quick little hitting shower there Wednesday afternoon. Most of us, though, are going to be on the drier side for the next couple of days, with the exception of right along the coast, and even then it's a low probability as we get into tomorrow. Here are the drought numbers. We did get some healthy rain across parts of Central Florida. It wasn't everywhere, but again, now most of us still above that 500 number. For a lot of Central Florida, these are the worst daily drought numbers that we've seen so far this season. Remember, that 500 number pretty much marks where counties enact a burn ban. You want to stay way below that 500 number. That means there's more moisture in the soil. Obviously, most of us do not have that. And again, a lot of us pushing into the 550s or beyond. Over the next 10 days, as we looked at this map on Friday, pretty dry again, with the exception of those heavier downpours that we talked about. The biggest rain likely going to fall well towards our north, although as we get into the back half of the weekend, the opportunity going to be there to start picking up some rain across Central Florida. High temperatures tomorrow back to the upper 80s, right around 90 degrees along I-74. Rain chances pretty tiny again tomorrow, and they will hold themselves to the coast. 20% shot on Thursday. Better chance for some rain getting into the day on Sunday.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. We want to see your weather pictures and videos. Just open your camera app, scan the QR code on your screen right now and click the link. You can also go to clickorlando.com/pins and upload your pictures and videos that way. In Seminole County, a new toll road is being built in Oviedo.
But your tax dollars are being used to pay for it. Up next, why even the mayor is unsure about the new project and the impact it'll have on your wallet.
As we take a live look at Mount Dora. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
Coming up in the morning, setting the rules for AI. One local school district has a plan. We'll tell you what this could mean for thousands of students.
Plus, the tiny home trend is leading to big fraud. I'll tell you what you need to know to avoid becoming a victim.
Join us for News 6 Morning starting at 5.
Happening today, using your tax dollars to build a new toll road. Seminole County is asking Oviedo for help to pay for construction of a toll road to connect the 417 to the Sanford airport.
Some drivers and the mayor are not sold on using city money for a toll road that is not even in the city. Your Seminole County community correspondent Mark Lehman has a preview before tonight's meeting.
Using your tax dollars to build a new toll road. I'm your Oviedo community correspondent Mark Lehman, and on Monday the city is taking up a request from Seminole County to help chip in for the 417 connector project here in Sanford. It's designed to relieve traffic off of Lake Mary and Ronald Reagan Boulevards, and a lot of people living in Oviedo are wondering just how much it will benefit them.
I am going to be asking a lot of questions on Monday at this work session.
Mayor Megan Sladek will be part of a conversation as Oviedo talks funding for the 417 connector project in Sanford. Seminole County, which has agreed to pay a quarter of the $200 million price tag, is asking Oviedo and 3 other nearby cities to pitch in.
I've got some questions about why, the city of Oviedo would be assisting with paying for a toll road.
Sladek echoing the concerns of drivers we spoke with.
Not so sure about using 417 and the funding.
Toll dollars should be appropriated towards toll roads, and we shouldn't be pulling money from anywhere else.
Project leaders say residents would see an impact with alternate access from the 417 to Lake Mary Boulevard and the Sanford Airport.
In 10 years, definitely, we're going to need some type of connector that just absorbs all the overflow of all the people moving into here.
Seminole County is requesting Oviedo use a newly allocated 5-cent local fuel tax. This for a 2-mile stretch of road that's miles away from city limits.
We want to be very respectful of our relationships with other governments, and also good stewards of money that is able to be used inside city limits.
This meeting is happening after Sanford held a similar discussion earlier this month. Lake Mary and Winter Springs are also being asked to contribute to the project. Oviedo leaders will be talking about all of this during their work session, which is scheduled for 5:30 this evening. Reporting in Seminole County, I'm your community correspondent Mark Lehman, News 6.
News 6 at 5 is next.
Anchor Matt Austin is in the newsroom with what's ahead.
A school built for students with autism now at risk of losing its home. Coming up, why the Chase Academy says it was blindsided and the race to relocate dozens of students before they're forced out.
I'm Catherine Silver in Geneva, where we're getting an up-close look at the devastation after a fire and hearing how a family of 6 escaped in the middle of the night.
Forecast is only minutes away. Don't forget you can stream all of our newscasts and live cameras like this look at Daytona Beach. Not the best look you'll ever see of Daytona Beach. We're going to have your meteorologist update us on what's going on outside. You can check it all out on News 6 Plus. Now at 5, a family forced to fight their way out in the middle of the night is now trying to rebuild what was destroyed in a fire. how you can help them start over. Plus,
I'm Molly Reed in South Daytona, where the fate of a special education school that serves students from around Volusia County is now up in the air. Coming up, why they're coming to us for help now.
a man found not guilty by reason of insanity, released, then accused again in a deadly case years later. Tonight, the growing mental health crisis inside Florida jails. You're watching News 6 at 5. Well, trapped inside with nowhere to escape the smoke, we're learning a man rescued his 3-year-old grandson through a window after their home in Geneva caught fire in the middle of the night.
Sadly, several pets died in this fire. Your Seminole County community correspondent Catherine Silver met with his sister, who is now trying to help them rebuild.
It's just devastating.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. It's all started right here in the kitchen.
When a fire started in the attic of this home on Osceola Road early Friday morning, Wendy Baker says her brother and his family didn't hear the alarms.
My sister-in-law, her daughter, they're hearing impaired. My nephew, he's hard of hearing as well.
Their dogs woke them up. By that time, Baker says smoke had filled the house and blocked the path to safety.
He couldn't see in front of him. He broke the window on his room.
It was 3 o'clock in the morning, dark and devastating. 6 people inside this house desperately needed to get out.
My niece, oh my gosh, she has 2 babies. She has a 19-month-old and she has a 3-year-old. So she literally hit the ground. She was dragging the 3-year-old. She was holding the baby.
In the chaos, Baker's niece lost sight of 3-year-old Luca.
She was screaming. She was like, Luca's still in there. He's still in there. My brother literally ran back in.
Baker showed us the window to her brother's bedroom, where he broke through and brought little Luca to safety.
Literally just grab everybody and just get him out through there.
By the time firefighters got there, they rushed the 3-year-old and Baker's brother to the hospital because of how much smoke they inhaled.
They lost their 4 dogs that they had in the house and 4 cats.
Baker says they lost everything.
Just to see how it was to where it is.
Every memory erased in minutes.
You just work so hard for everything that you have, the memories that you make, you know, all gone within 8 minutes. He said it took 8 minutes.
There are ways you can help. The family needs clothes, other basic items. There's also a GoFundMe page they've started. We've included a link on clickorlando.com. In Geneva, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
New at 5, we are getting a look at body camera video from a DUI arrest after a 3-year-old boy was hit by a Jeep over the weekend on Daytona Beach.
Listen,
wow, man, why?
Because I've done hundreds and hundreds of DUIs. You're showing the same sign as every other drunk person I've ever arrested, okay?
Deputies arrested Brock Winkler after they say he showed signs of impairment after the crash and during sobriety tests. Investigators say the child ran into traffic, but witnesses reported the driver had also been drinking, and there were empty beer cans found near his Jeep. The child suffered a concussion and a fractured neck, but is expected to be okay. Winkler now faces a felony DUI charge with serious bodily injury. We just checked, and as of right now, he is still in the Volusia County Jail with his bond set at $11,000.
Also new at 5, we have the official cause of death after a worker was killed at an Orlando hotel. This happened at the Hilton at Point Orlando on I-Drive. Deputies say 30-year-old Aurelius Katinde died from crushing injuries to the torso and mechanical asphyxiation after an industrial-sized dryer fell on him. Federal investigators with OSHA are now looking into exactly what went wrong and whether safety violations played a role. Right now, deputies are ruling the death an accident.
Now at 5, take a look at this scene around Icon Park in Orange County. You can see a huge law enforcement presence there. This is from Saturday night around 7, where more than 1,000 teens were at the popular attraction. The Orange County Sheriff's Office says 54 deputies responded to that scene after they heard about a planned takeover that was publicized through social media.
Go back that way. Hey, leave. Get out.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office says deputies had to break up fights and arrested 9 people. Those people now face charges ranging from battery on a law enforcement officer to resisting an officer with violence and trespassing after a warning. 2 deputies got hurt and were sent to the hospital but have since been treated and released. Orange County Sheriff John Mina gave an update earlier this afternoon.
So this wasn't necessarily a promoter. This was more organically through teenagers that passed along an attachment with not really any promoter name or organization or company on it. It's just, and just talking to our staff and talking to the kids, unfortunately it's turned into a thing to do for the kids.
The sheriff says deputies were able to clear the area after a couple of hours. And another update from the Orange County Sheriff today, a drug trafficking organization apparently responsible for massive amounts of cocaine into Central Florida disrupted.
The Sheriff's Office revealed some of the details of the investigation earlier this afternoon. As your Orange County community correspondent Mike Valenti explains, it's a probe that's ongoing.
So far, this investigation has yielded several arrests and the discovery of more than 40 kilos of cocaine, more than $1 million, and nearly 30 guns.
Good afternoon.
Authorities with the Sheriff's Office and the Metropolitan Bureau of Investigation say the people whose faces appear on this poster were involved in that operation, allegedly importing cocaine through the mail from Puerto Rico, and then hiding the drugs in hidden compartments in vehicles in order to get the product to customers.
Anytime we take down a drug trafficking organization like this and recover this amount of cocaine and the amount of money and firearms, the Central Florida area is definitely safer.
Investigators say there's still at least one person they're trying to track down and arrest. Of course, we'll keep you apprised of any updates. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, reporting outside the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Mike Valenti, News 6.
A major shakeup could be coming to how Florida votes with new maps that could shift power in Washington. So take a look. This is the current congressional map. Right now, Florida has a mix of Republican and Democrat districts. But under a new proposal, this one from Governor Ron DeSantis, the state would move that map from 20 to 24 Republican-leaning districts and only 4 Democrat-leaning ones. That could give Republicans up to 4 more seats in the U.S. House ahead of the midterm elections. The governor is calling lawmakers back to Tallahassee for a special session tomorrow to take this up. But the plan is already facing pushback, with some Democrats calling it gerrymandering and warning it would end up in court. We'll keep following this very closely.
Florida's Attorney General is now expanding a first-of-its-kind investigation after a recent murder suspect allegedly used AI to help commit the crime. Attorney General James Uthmeier says his office is now adding the University of South Florida murder case to a growing criminal probe into OpenAI. Prosecutors say the suspect is accused of killing a doctoral student who went missing with his girlfriend last week. Investigators have not yet confirmed whether remains found nearby are hers. Court documents show the suspect allegedly used ChatGPT in the days before the crime, asking about disposing of a body and whether gunshots would be heard. Uthmeier posted on social media today saying in part the investigation is expanding after learning the primary suspect used ChatGPT. The probe began after authorities said the accused shooter in the Florida State University shooting also used ChatGPT before that attack.
A special needs school that serves some of Volusia County's most vulnerable students is now facing an uncertain future. The Chase Academy in South Daytona says it has only weeks to leave its location after learning its lease will not be renewed. It's right off Ridgewood Avenue here in Carmen Drive. They reached out to News 6 for help. As your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed shows us, staff and families are scrambling to find a new home before time runs out.
The Chase Academy has called this small home for over 15 years, but now they have just weeks to finish school, close up shop, and find a new location for 73 students and 30 staff members. The money for a move isn't in the budget right now, though.
A huge shock to us. I mean, we have just sunk tens of thousands of dollars into making this facility what it looks like today. And, we wouldn't willingly leave it.
Founder Miriam Lundell says her team at the nonprofit school was gearing up to expand here. The school serves autistic and neurodivergent juveniles and young adults from around Volusia County.
We haven't been raising funds for a year to get it customized again. You know what I mean? We do have some savings that we planned for the expansion, but an expansion is nothing financially compared to starting over.
Lundell says she was just blindsided, told the landlord won't be renewing her lease and the Chase Academy needs to get out. Legally, the landlord didn't have to give her much more of a heads up. Lundell says a new company took over the South Daytona Plaza 2 years ago.
They think, well, one spot is as good as another spot. Who cares if you have to get up and move? But when you're a nonprofit, that is an expensive and normally highly planned expedition.
I emailed the Pinnacle Leasing and Management Group asking for comment or an explanation, but haven't heard back.
Probably very hard because they're out of state. So they don't know us. They don't understand the impact the school has on the county.
Now, I did speak with a few people who told me they were parents outside of here who told me that losing this school and location would be detrimental. Now, the landlord did give them an extra few weeks to finish up the school year and get out by mid-June, but Lundell says after that, they don't know what will happen. I'm your Volusia County Community Correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
New at 5, if you live in Orange County, help before disaster strikes could now include your wallet. The county is getting a boost to help families stay financially afloat before and after emergencies. Leaders say the county was selected by the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund to receive a $150,000 grant. The money will go toward adding financial support services to emergency response plans. This includes things like pre-disaster counseling and help navigating federal aid after a crisis. Leaders say when disaster hits, financial stability can make all the difference in how fast families recover.
Well, a quiet garden could soon get a lot louder.
Tonight, the plan to expand Lou Gardens and why some neighbors fear it could turn into something completely different. Jonathan.
Pinpointing a couple of stray showers, mainly pushing along the coast. We're going to have where they're headed and a look at the heat building over the next few days in a few minutes.
You're watching News 6 at 5, a live look at Port Canaveral from our Launch Credit Union camera. We'll be right back. One of Orlando's most peaceful spots could be headed for a big change.
Lou Gardens is looking at a major expansion, including new amenities and more parking. The park is right off North Forest Avenue near Mills. But as News 6's Alex Cook reports, tonight neighbors are pushing back, worried it could change the character of Lou Gardens.
Some neighbors are worried this could mean more crowds, more parking, more noise, and a very different feel for one of Orlando's most peaceful spots.
I think it will change the nature of the park. It really should be a park with a fabulous camellia collection and all that comes with it.
Sarah Stoddard lives in the neighborhood behind Lou Gardens. She's worried about the extra noise and crowds the proposed changes may bring. And she's not alone.
I have talked to several of the neighbors who share my feelings that it changes the nature of Lou Gardens and that it brings more noise and an influx of crowds and parking issues and all that to the neighborhood, which we would prefer not to have.
On its website, Lou Gardens says the master plan is meant to guide the gardens into the future, with a new visitor center, a lakeside restaurant, an outdoor pavilion, a children's garden, and expanded parking. But this letter circulating the neighborhood urges people to push back, warning that the changes could turn the gardens into more of an event venue. It warns about potentially noisy lakeside wedding parties, asking, how many times do you need to hear Sweet Caroline?
The focus on it might become more to make that more of a profit center and maybe neglect some of the gardens or impinge on some of the space that is currently devoted to plants and pathways and quiet reflection to something noisier and more intrusive.
Lou Gardens says no final designs have been decided, and tonight's meeting is meant to gather more input. That meeting is from 6 to 8 right here at the Lou Gardens Visitor Center, and city staff will be on hand to explain what these plans may mean for the future of the park. Stoddard told me she is planning on attending this meeting and wants neighbors' concerns to be part of the conversation. In Orlando, Alex Cook, News 6.
All right, time now to get a check of your weather. We have meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. He's tracking a little bit of precipitation out on the coast.
Yeah, certainly not as heavy as what we saw in parts of Central Florida over the weekend. We'll obviously take what we can get, but these are just itty-bitty showers trying to push back on shore from the Atlantic coastline. Again, just a few stray showers hanging around Daytona Beach, just north of us in Edgewater and New Smyrna Beach as they continue to push from the Atlantic inland. They are itty-bitty and few and far between. Here we go for the rest of your evening, and that's going to run the risk, especially for us along the Flagler coast and especially the northern half of the Volusia coastline. Space Coast, we should just see some extra clouds push through, but a couple of stray showers, again, kind of working their way up and down the I-4 corridor. Most of us will be dry again tonight. There's lunchtime tomorrow, really the morning commute through lunchtime tomorrow. Note, again, these little itty-bitty downpours that are trying to get going. We're going to keep that breeze off of the Atlantic. Really, anytime we have that breeze off of the ocean, we will see the opportunity for a few of those stray downpours. And again, tomorrow, there's not a ton of moisture in the mid levels of our atmosphere, so most of those guys just fizzle out. But especially along the coast and near I-95 tomorrow morning, just be on the lookout for some few downpours. Again, patchy, wet roads out there. Otherwise, it shouldn't be anything too crazy. There's 8, 9 o'clock on your Wednesday morning. Same kind of deal. A few more showers try to sneak in, but most of us will be on the drier side for the next couple of days. It's once we get to the upcoming weekend, really the back half of the upcoming weekend, that the chance anyway for a higher opportunity for some downpours and some thunderstorms starts to return to Central Florida. Skycam shaking all over the place. It is breezy outside. The ocean certainly a little choppy tonight, and we're going to keep it that way over the next couple of days. Air temperatures back into the low 70s right now. You see the scattered showers again pushing through the airport, still reporting the rain. The breeze out of the north-northeast at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. That's a sustained wind. We've had gusts at times pushing 30 or so miles per hour. Tomorrow, we're back in the lower 80s if you're heading to the beach. Again, watch out for the rip current risk. It's moderate, but will be increasing again as we keep that breeze stiff out of the northeast, again at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. We're at 82 right now in Leesburg. Good evening in Groveland. We're hanging out at 82, 84 for us in Denellen. Titusville, we are back to 79 degrees. As you start tomorrow, we're back to the 60s. Gorgeous morning tomorrow. We're at 66 in Leesburg. We'll fall into the mid 60s for us as we move in through the start of the day in Palm Coast. That'll transition back into the lower 80s tomorrow afternoon, mainly right along the coast. That'll pump up back to the mid to upper 80s again in Orlando, to Celebration, into Kissimmee. We're hanging around 90 tomorrow afternoon in Wildwood. Rain chances only at 10%. Again, that's to account for a few of those very teeny tiny showers pushing back onshore with that breeze out of the east. All of the very active weather is hanging back towards our north and west. Severe weather outbreak about to get going over the next couple of hours. Southern Illinois and Missouri, that's where that stays over the next few days. For us, we're going to watch the heat build really over the next couple. That'll put us back into the lower 90s as we get to Wednesday into Thursday, just a 20% shot for a few showers on Thursday. Otherwise, we're hanging around 90 degrees until our next system comes through. That's on Sunday. As mentioned, that gives us our better chance for some thunderstorms. Rain chance is now up to 50%. A little cooler as that system slides through. High temperatures on Sunday around 80. We're going to jump up quick, bounce back into the upper 80s by Monday. We are at 87 degrees, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. Open your camera app, scan the QR code on your screen right now and click the link. We want to see your weather pictures and videos, and they could end up on TV. You can also go to clickorlando.com/pins and upload your pictures and videos that way.
Well, a smell that drove people out of downtown Sanford could come back.
Tonight, why the city may spend more than $500,000 on new fixes at its troubled wastewater plant. As we take a live look at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope cam, you're watching News 6 at 5. We'll be right back.
Your Monday evening traffic alert. You're going to see those lane closures east and westbound along I-4 out in the attractions area. Brace yourself for the slowdowns. Same thing on I-4 between the Turnpike down in 528 and then Brevard. We do have a few lane closures scheduled. Central zones. I'm talking I-95 out by State Road 407 and 528, and then a closure happening towards I-95 and Pineda Causeway. You'll see the detour signs. You're going to have to get off and get back on overnight and should be opened roughly about 6 o'clock. I'm Trooper Steve with the News 6 traffic alert. Drive safely. I'll catch you in the morning.
Another round of repairs could soon be coming to Sanford's troubled wastewater treatment plant. I'm your Seminole County community correspondent, Mark Lehman, and over the last several months, there's been a lot of repairs, parts replaced here at this plant near downtown Sanford. People living in the area say they've seen or at least smelled an improvement, and the city says more work now needs to be done.
It was pretty smelly a few months back.
Most can laugh about the situation now, but late last year, the smell from Sanford's sewage treatment plant drove people away from downtown.
Oh, it was really bad. I could smell it from my home, where I live at. Come out here, couldn't hardly fish.
Equipment failures led to a permanent component eventually installed in December. Now, in a separate issue, more than $500,000 in electrical repairs is needed, the proposal sparking renewed concerns about the aging facility.
If they shut certain parts down, the scent might come back.
The city manager says the work is needed to meet necessary requirements. Breakers would be installed along with switches to automatically transfer to generator backup when power is lost. The goal is to minimize the impact on plant operations and prevent any future electrical problems.
Hopefully they can get it done and we can make some more upgrades to the city.
City staff is recommending commissioners approve the funding for the electrical work here. All of this will be voted on by commissioners during their meeting that is set for 7 this evening. For now, we're reporting in Sanford. I'm your Seminole County community correspondent, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Well, are you paying more just for searching?
A now deleted post from JetBlue is raising some pretty big questions about how airfares are set. Coming up, what companies say about so-called surveillance pricing. Plus,
interrogation video when police say a 16-year-old confessed to killing her mom and her mom's boyfriend. Shouldn't have gone public, that girl's attorney argues. I'll share the latest update in the case.
Here's a live look at Daytona Beach. You're watching News 6. Keep it here. We'll be right back.
Glad you're with us. I'm Lisa Bell.
I'm Matt Austin. You're watching News 6 at 5. We're following several top stories for you right now. In Seminole County, we're learning a man rescued his 3-year-old grandson through a window after their home in Geneva caught fire in the middle of the night. It happened early Friday morning. Now the family needs clothes and some basic necessities. There's a GoFundMe page they've created. We have a link to it on clickorlando.com.
Today, the Orange County Sheriff's Office says investigators suspected a group was bringing in hundreds of kilograms of cocaine from Puerto Rico. Detectives arrested 9 people and recovered 6 kilos of drugs. That's $1.1 million, as well as nearly 30 guns.
The fate of a special education school in South Daytona is up in the air. The Chase Academy has served hundreds of students with autism over the years, but school leaders just found out they have to move out of Sunshine Plaza in June. Their lease was just not renewed. A teen accused of killing her own mother, now at the center of a growing legal fight.
Her defense attorney says newly released police video could jeopardize her right to a fair trial, and tonight even more video is being released, raising serious questions about how this case is being handled. Your Palm Bay community correspondent James Barbero is digging into the controversy and what it could mean for the trial.
Tell us what happened. I'm gonna ask you straight up.
Interrogation video when police say a 16-year-old confessed to killing her mom and her mom's boyfriend.
Well, you're basically saying that I did, so do you even need my answer?
Shouldn't have gone public, that girl's attorney argues, because now Julia Egler might not get a fair trial. In February, I gave you our first look at the 2024 body cam video when Palm Bay police questioned Julia, who they say really wanted to be called by the name Jasper. That dispute over Julia wanting to be a boy was her motive, police say, to shoot her mom.
I would always try and remind her that this isn't a phase.
The public defender argues the police interrogating the teenager tricked her into waiving her rights because Detective Ken Shedrick and Detective Nicole Brown told Julia she wouldn't face the same consequences in juvenile court. Ultimately, though, the state decided to prosecute Egler, who's still just 17 now, as an adult, and she's facing life in prison.
From what I've looked up and from my review of the motion, it is alarming.
Defense attorney Katie Rollo, who used to work for the public defender's office, told me that she agrees after the police shared the videos with the public, it could be harder to find a fair jury. So do you think they should have waited until trial to release these videos?
Absolutely. These videos, I don't personally think should have been released at all.
The defense is asking the judge to either throw the case out, prosecute Egler as a juvenile, or don't show those same videos I've shown you to the jury. It's all set to be debated in court next month. We'll keep you updated how it plays out. In Brevard County, I'm your Palm Bay community correspondent James Sparvero, News 6.
New at 5 now, the Volusia Sheriff's Office posting video of a police officer using a pit maneuver to stop a driver who deputies say drove away from a traffic stop. This happened over the weekend. The Volusia Sheriff's Office says Adrian Maroon just kept on driving recklessly even after he hit multiple sets of stop sticks. Daytona Beach police eventually used a pit maneuver which disabled the car just outside the Daytona International Speedway. Maroon is facing 2 counts of fleeing charges but has since posted bond.
Also new at 5, a Wildwood shooting suspect will be staying in jail tonight as prosecutors move to keep him locked up until his trial. Robert Morgan faced a judge this afternoon and is charged with attempted homicide, aggravated battery, and firearm offenses. In court today, Morgan said he plans to hire his own attorney as the state prepares to file a motion to hold him without bond because of his prior criminal record. Police say he shot a woman in the neck, then dragged her back toward their home. Allegedly, the shooting happened after an argument with children and family members nearby. In court today, Morgan was denied bond. The victim remains hospitalized after surgery.
Turning now to the war in Iran, the White House says President Trump met with his national security team this morning to discuss a new proposal. CBS's Jared Hill is in New York with the latest on the stalemate.
As ships sit idle in the Strait of Hormuz, the White House says President Trump discussed with his national security team Monday an Iranian offer to reopen the key shipping waterway. That's if the U.S. ends its blockade on Iranian ports and vessels. But the proposal did not address Iran's nuclear program, a sticking point for the Trump administration.
I don't want to get ahead of the president or his national security team. What I will reiterate is that the president's red lines with respect to Iran have been made very, very clear, not just to the American public, but also to them as well.
Over the weekend, President Trump abruptly called off plans to send top negotiators, Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, to Pakistan for a second round of direct talks with Iranian officials.
They weren't meeting with the leader of the country. They were meeting with other people. And I said, we're just not going to do it. Too much traveling, takes too long, too expensive.
Iran's foreign minister did meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin Monday, blaming the stalled negotiations on, quote, excessive U.S. demands. And despite a U.S. brokered ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, smoke could be seen rising in southern Lebanon as hostilities between Israel and Iran's proxy, Hezbollah, persist. Jared Hill, CBS News.
New at 5, a so-called car wash busted as a major drug hub in Lake County. Deputies say the property along Beach Road in Leesburg, known as the car wash, was actually a fake business used to distribute narcotics. SWAT moved in on Thursday of last week, uncovering several drugs, including cocaine, crack, meth, fentanyl, ecstasy-like pills, and more than a pound of marijuana. Investigators also found 2 guns, including one they say was reported stolen. Dara Ostain and Steve Roberts are now behind bars, both facing multiple trafficking and firearm charges, and both are being held without bond. Deputies say Ostain had just been released from prison after serving more than 2 decades for a previous homicide.
Well, I've wondered this for a very long time. Are companies watching you shop online and then using your personal data to fine-tune the prices?
That is the question some lawmakers and advocacy groups are also asking after a deleted social media post from JetBlue, which seemed to suggest clearing your browser history might affect airfares. JetBlue says the post was a mistake. Now at 5, News 6's Donovan Myrie shows us how the moment put a spotlight on how pricing decisions are made and how companies use personal data.
Social media turbulence for JetBlue. A customer writing on X, I love flying JetBlue, but a $230 increase on a ticket after 1 day is crazy. I'm just trying to make it to a funeral. The airline replying, try clearing your cache and cookies or booking with an incognito window. We're sorry for your loss. JetBlue deleted the post, saying in a statement it was a mistake and that the steps suggested would not have changed the airfares available for purchase. The airline also says it, quote, does not use personal information or web browsing history to set individual pricing, unquote.
It's entirely a myth in the industry. Airline pricing changes so quickly, and I think that's just due to supply and demand.
The exchange igniting questions about surveillance pricing, using browsing history, spending habits, location, and other personal data to adjust prices for individuals. While the practice is broadly legal in the U.S., airlines, including JetBlue, say they don't do it.
The airlines are getting much better at dynamic pricing. That does not mean that they're tracking individuals, though. They're looking at trends, at pricing trends overall. So if there's a lot of people across a lot of geographies who are looking for the same flight you're looking for, then the price may go up.
Still, advocacy groups want more transparency on how prices are being set.
Companies are increasingly turning to new technologies to vary pricing. It's really a departure from 150 years of pricing in which there's been a standard price that we've all paid if we were buying the same item from the same retailer at the same time.
Donovan Myrie, News 6.
Definitely seems like it could be happening. Well, who has to stop at way stations in Florida? You know, these things you might see on the side of the highway. Well, we wanted to know, so we sent Trooper Steve to ask. He went ahead and answered that question for us today on Trooper Steve on Patrol.
So we're going to talk about why they're there, who has to stop, does the RV have to stop, and that should be a pretty good thing. So, whenever you're approaching a way station that looks similar to this image right here, you'll see them out on the highway, and there's warning signs that say, hey, way station ahead. So what are the rules specifically for a way station? So trucks and commercial vehicles must stop when it's open. Read and follow every sign. So if the sign says bypass and you're in a commercial vehicle, you're going to bypass that. Personal and passenger vehicles may bypass a way station. Failure to stop when required may result in a citation.
So as always, there's much more to these laws, and if you want to know when a personal vehicle has to stop at the weigh station, you'll have to watch Steve's full video. That's over on the article at clickorlando.com. You can watch Trooper Steve on patrol weekdays at 2:30 in the afternoon and 8:30 at night.
The largest mental health facility in Central Florida is not a hospital, it is a jail.
Tonight, the shocking number of inmates being treated, and the case is raising some questions about who's being released back into your neighborhood. Jonathan.
Most of us are dry tonight for the next couple of days, but we still have a couple of stray downpours, mainly hanging out along the I-95 corridor. We'll talk about where these guys are headed and some of the heat that's building over the next few days at about 5:47.
I'm Jana Manahalal in Orange County, how neighbors are responding to the possibility of a magnet school opening up in their backyard.
Did you know there's more to watch on News 6 Plus? You can get caught up on Central Florida's news and weather patterns at a time that works for you at 9 o'clock every night. Go on patrol with Trooper Steve, get clear on Florida politics from Politically Motivated, and celebrate the best of Central Florida with Are We There Yet? With the News 6 Insiders. You can watch it all now. Just get the News 6 Plus app loaded on that smart TV.
And you can download our streaming app for free. Just search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Shark Coatings. I'm about to show you the largest mental health provider in all of Central Florida. Are you ready? This right here is the Orange County Jail, and it turns out 1 in 5 inmates is being treated for mental illness inside Florida jails. And you might be shocked at some of the people who are getting out. Let's begin with the case of Ahmad Bojay. In 2021, Bojay was accused of randomly shooting at people outside a Wawa. He was later found not guilty by reason of insanity.
released with monitoring.
I can tell you he was a threat to that neighborhood all the time.
5 years later, 3 tourists were found randomly murdered in Beauger's neighborhood.
There was no conflict between these people, and this happened to be the person who lived next door.
The man accused? Beauger, who later admitted he was off his meds.
They were insane, and they're living in my neighborhood. How does the justice system let that happen?
The whole system is built on a house of cards. And the only time something gets corrected is when there's a tragedy.
This court does not make threats.
Retired Chief Judge of Orange and Osceola County, Belvin Perry, is best known for handling the Casey Anthony trial. He says deciding someone's release into society is based on multiple factors.
If they present a danger to themselves or others, then the court keeps them in confinement for their treatment. If they're not, they can go back into the community to be treated there.
So I dug into court records to see who might be out in society who was charged with one of these crimes. The first, in 2016, investigators say Chantelly Bennett shot another mom in the chest. She's later declared incompetent to stand trial, released. In 2023, Jorge Diaz-Vega, a former Disney employee accused of taking upskirt videos of a 14-year-old on the job, ruled incompetent, released.
Right now, there's a statewide crisis as far as bed space goes.
Public Defender Melissa Vickers says if a suspect is considered a danger to themselves or others, they're supposed to be sent to a state hospital. By law, the Department of Children and Families has 15 days to find them a bed.
What we're seeing is longer and longer wait times. It could be 4 to 5 months that people are staying in jail.
Then they're rushed out of there sometime to make room for someone else.
In the state hospital?
In a state
You're saying
hospital.
they're rushing them out of there?
Yeah.
So I found a report released last year by DCF. It shows 98% occupancy rates for forensic mental health facilities, and wait lists, they say, are growing by 6% every single year. We want to say if you or someone you love is struggling with a mental health crisis, you can always call or text 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, available 24 hours a day. Trained counselors are ready to help anytime you need it.
Always fascinating to hear insights from Judge Perry. And as he pointed out, which is so frustrating, is things don't seem to get corrected until there's some type of tragedy.
Yes,
and another person is injured.
He says this has been a problem not just since he was a judge, but since he was a prosecutor. So it's been a long time issue.
Very interesting, Matt. Thank
Thanks.
you. All right, I want to check in now with meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. We actually have some rain on the radar that we're tracking tonight.
Just a little, yeah. We had certainly not like the downpours or thunderstorms that we saw across parts of Central Florida this weekend, but a few showers still sneaking on shore. We've had a couple around Daytona Beach, some around Kenansville into Deer Park earlier this evening. Now kind of our lone shower hanging just south of us in Port Orange, just to the west of Ponce Inlet. Islesboro, again, getting clipped by the very light now sprinkle that has pushed through. It was an earlier downpour, but fizzling out, running into the drier air. Again, you can always track the thunderstorms eventually, especially as we get into the wet season, by downloading the free News 6 weather app. You can also send us your pictures as well. The Pin It section, great way to do that, to see your picture on TV. Skycam going all over the place in Daytona Beach, and the lens has dried out. We had a couple of showers pushed through earlier, but the ocean a little angry tonight. The breeze set out of the northeast at about 15 miles an hour. Temperatures with the rain has now fallen back into the low 70s. The airport still reporting a few showers hanging around. Atlas V rocket launch tonight. Air temperatures in the low 70s. The hopeful launch is at 8:52. There's a window opening about 20 or so minutes at 8:52. Launch probability now at 85%. We still have some clouds around pushing on shore. That's going to be courtesy of that breeze out of the northeast, but hopeful that one will get off. But there will still be a couple of downpours trying to sneak on shore. And that will be the theme going into tomorrow as well. So there we go, 6, 7 o'clock on your Monday evening. Note the motion of the cloud. That's the white on your screen there with that breeze off of the Atlantic. There's lunchtime tomorrow. You saw through the early stage of your morning commute. Could have a couple of stray downpours again, especially closer to the I-95 corridor tomorrow. That's going to be because we're keeping that stiff breeze, especially along the coast out of the east. There's 11 o'clock on your Tuesday evening. Tomorrow night, few clouds hanging around. And I think on Wednesday still just a stray opportunity for a quick hitting shower late in the day. Otherwise, we're mainly going to be on the drier side. That's going to be 9 o'clock on your Wednesday evening. Again, at that point, we are mainly dry. Obviously, could use the rain. The rain that we got over the weekend, at least who saw it, maybe helped out your lawn a little bit. But over the overall, Did not really do much to the drought situation, of course. We're going to need extended periods of rain just like that on a more widespread scale. But certainly you see the small numbers there. That's the change in the Keach-Byron Drought Index. I know there's a lot going on the screen here. Just know, for perspective, 500 typically enacts a burn ban in the county. You want to stay way below that 500 number. The higher the number, the drier the soil is, the easier it is for things to burn. Lower the number, the more moisture there is in the soil, and the harder it is for things to burn. Over the next 10 days, there may be a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel for Central Florida. Note, though, the pattern keeping things pretty active just to our north, but as we get towards that Sunday area, the front that keeps all the rain to our north going to have the opportunity to sag back down into Central Florida for a little bit of rain. Now here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Advent Health.
Temperatures tomorrow back to the mid to upper 80s. We're hanging around 90 degrees along the I-75 corridor. There's that very small shot for a couple of downpours, especially along the coast early tomorrow. 91 on Wednesday, 92 on Thursday. There's that system on Sunday. Temperatures go back down to around 80 degrees as a result, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, a new high school proposed in a quiet neighborhood, and neighbors are pushing back.
Still ahead, the plan and the big concerns that could bring hundreds of students right into this community.
And here's a live look at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
Coming up in the morning, setting the rules for AI. One local school district has a plan. We'll tell you what this could mean for thousands of students.
Plus, the tiny home trend is leading to big fraud. I'll tell you what you need to know to avoid becoming a victim.
Join us for News 6 Morning starting at 5.
Check, 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 check. The Magic go for a commanding lead, and there's serious.
I'm on Palmer Street right now, and I want you to look at this sign here. It says, "Tell OCPS no." The neighbors who live on Palmer Street and in the surrounding areas are very upset about the possibility of Lake Cherokee High School opening up to nearly 600 600 students. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Jada Manahawal. I had the chance to speak with neighbors and the District 6 board member for OCPS about this new school.
I think it's a concern because, like, as we see right here with, like, what, this is like 10 cars or like less, it's already getting slightly congested.
Jonathan Cabral lives across the street from the proposed Lake Cherokee High School and is just one of the people that lives here who is not on board with the idea of a school opening in their backyard.
There's simply not enough space for these cars. And again, it's not even about us, but I think a very real point is the safety of the kids, because, like, they're kids, right?
The district plans to have a meeting at 6 p.m. on Monday to address some concerns. People who live here say their biggest complaint right now is traffic and where these kids are going to park. Vanos tells us, though, the district plans to remove the playground here to make additional parking spots. This building was an operating school up until 2023, but it now sits empty. Another concern is the number of students that could be coming. This 600-plus student number isn't exactly accurate anymore. She says it could be a lot less.
After continued conversations with the neighbors, they're now going to be proposing tonight having sort of a staggered schedule where there would be at most 250 students at the school on any given day.
Vanos tells us the reason OCPS is pushing so hard for this school is because it would be the first magnet technical arts program for Orange County. The location is also ideal. With it being a magnet school, it's central for the district and close to the downtown art scene. Neighbors tell us that they do plan to go to the 6 p.m. meeting on Monday to express some of their concerns. We'll keep you updated as to what comes out of that meeting here and on clickorlando.com. For now in Orange County, I'm your community correspondent, Jada Manahawal, News 6.
Ginger Gadsden is in the newsroom with what we are working on for News 6 at 6.
A scary scene in Orlando over the weekend as teens took over Icon Park. Coming up, what the Orange County Sheriff says about this chaotic scene, ending in arrest, fights, and deputies hurt. Plus, News 6 Sports Director Jamie Say is live outside the Kia Center ahead of Game 4 tonight. Jamie.
Hey, Ginger, the Magic go for a commanding lead in their series with the Pistons. Game 4 is just hours away. What the Magic say about the opportunity in front of them coming up.
And this is a live look now at downtown Orlando. You're looking at the Kia Center from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Together camera. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
It's unfortunately it's turned into a thing to do for the kids.
Chaos in the City Beautiful over the weekend. An update from the Orange County Sheriff after teens were arrested near a popular tourist attraction. Plus,
I'm Catherine Silver in Geneva, where we're getting an up-close look at the devastation after a fire and hearing how a family of 6 escaped in the middle of the night.
we are 2 hours away from tip-off as the Orlando Magic look to take a commanding series lead against the Pistons. News 6 at 6 starts now.
Well, the latest teen takeover this past weekend caused chaos, according to witnesses, this time at Orlando's Icon Park on International Drive.
Yeah, and this time it took a couple of hours and 54 Orange County Sheriff's deputies to clear it all out. Your Orange County community correspondent Mike Valenti is getting it straight from the sheriff.
When it was all finally said and done, 9 teens were taken away in handcuffs after a Saturday night that saw more than 1,000 teenagers descend on Icon Park.
Tyler, I need a car.
Some are charged with battery, some are charged with resisting law enforcement, some are charged with battery on a law enforcement officer. So it comes with significant penalties.
Sheriff John Mina says the teens looking at those charges range in ages from 13 to 16.
Was there like a common denominator you've heard from these teens when in talking to your deputies about why they were drawn?
No, just a thing to do because they know like there's going to be a lot of kids their age there and something to do.
The sheriff's office already had personnel waiting here Saturday night because they, like all of us, monitor social media, and they had seen a bunch of accounts talking about a teen takeover. A word-of-mouth event that devolved into chaos with some fights happening and 2 deputies getting a bit banged up because they were trying to break up those fights. Oh, and we should mention there's already talk online about another one of these happening. Mina says his office is aware of a teen takeover for May 9th.
To those people who might plan on going there, just know that we're going to have dozens and dozens of deputy sheriffs there. We will have transport vans ready to take you away in handcuffs if you break the law.
Of course, should that takeover happen, we will be reporting on any potential fallout. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Mike Valenti, reporting from Icon Park, News 6.
Developing tonight in Orange County, the sheriff's office investigating a big drug trafficking organization today. Sheriff John Mina says several people were arrested with 40 kilos or 88 pounds of cocaine, more than $1 million and nearly 30 guns. Deputies say the people involved in the operation imported the drugs through mail from Puerto Rico. We're told they hid the drugs in a car to sell it in Central Florida.
Anytime we take down a drug trafficking organization like this and recover this amount of cocaine and the amount of money and firearms, the Central Florida area is definitely safer.
Investigators say there's still at least one person they're trying to track down and arrest. In Brevard County, the defense attorney for a teen accused of killing her mother now says the girl can't get a fair trial. The statement comes after police released video showing the girl being questioned. In February, your Palm Bay community correspondent James Barbero gave us our first look at the 2024 body cam when police questioned Julia Eagler. Police say the 16-year-old wanted to go by the name Jasper. Police also say a dispute over her wanting to be a boy was her motive to shoot her mom and her mom's boyfriend.
I would always try and remind her that this isn't a phase.
Eagler is facing life in prison, but in a hearing next month, the defense will argue to throw the case out, transfer her to juvenile court, or allow a jury to see those videos. We'll keep you updated on how it all plays out in court. In Lake County, we're learning a student is facing charges following a bomb threat at Lake Minneola High School. 18-year-old Jeremiah Bolton was arrested today, almost a month after the Lake County Sheriff's Office says the threat was posted to social media. Deputies say back on April 8th, the school was put on lockdown after reports of a possible weapon being on campus. While authorities investigated, deputies say the bomb threat also came in. Deputies say Bolton admitted to posting the threat because he needed to use the bathroom during the initial lockdown and was trapped in the parking lot. Bolton is in the Lake County Jail.
Well, trapped inside with nowhere to escape the smoke, we're learning a man rescued his 3-year-old grandson through a window after their home in Geneva caught fire right in the middle of the night. Several pets also died in this. Your Seminole County community correspondent Catherine Silver met with his sister, who's now trying to help them rebuild.
It's just devastating.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. It's all started right here in the kitchen.
When a fire started in the attic of this home on Osceola Road early Friday morning, Wendy Baker says her brother and his family didn't hear the alarms.
My sister-in-law, her daughter, they're hearing impaired. My nephew, he's hard of hearing as well.
Their dogs woke them up. By that time, Baker says smoke had filled the house and blocked the path to safety.
He couldn't see in front of him. He broke the window on his room.
It was 3 o'clock in the morning, dark and devastating. 6 people inside this house desperately needed to get out.
My niece, oh my gosh, she has 2 babies. She has a 19-month-old and she has a 3-year-old. So she literally hit the ground. She was dragging the 3-year-old. She was holding the baby.
In the chaos, Baker's niece lost sight of 3-year-old Luca.
She was screaming. She was like, Luca's still in there. He's still in there. My brother literally ran back in.
Baker showed us the window to her brother's bedroom where he broke through and brought little Luca to safety.
Literally just grab everybody and just get him out through there.
By the time firefighters got there, they rushed the 3-year-old and Baker's brother to the hospital because of how much smoke they inhaled.
They lost their 4 dogs that they had in the house and 4 cats.
Baker says they lost everything.
Just to see how it was to where it is.
Every memory erased in minutes.
You just work so hard for everything that you have. The memories that you make, you know, all gone within 8 minutes. He said it took 8 minutes.
There are ways you can help. The family needs clothes, other basic items. There's also a GoFundMe page they've started. We've included a link on clickorlando.com. In Geneva, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
Happening today, using your tax dollars to build a new toll road. That's what's being discussed by Seminole County leaders. The goal would be to use the money to help pay for construction of a toll road to connect the 417 to the Sanford airport. This aims to ease the traffic off the 417 near Lake Mary Boulevard. County leaders are asking Oviedo to use a new 5-cent local fuel tax for this 2-mile stretch of road outside the city limits. Seminole County leaders have agreed to pay a quarter of that $200 million price tag. But neighbors tell News 6's Mark Lehman they are worried once the road is built, they'll have to pay again and again to use it.
Not so sure about using 417 and the funding.
Toll dollars should be appropriated towards toll roads. And we shouldn't be pulling money from anywhere else. In 10 years, definitely, like we're going to need some type of connector that just absorbs all the overflow of all the people moving into here.
Lake Mary and Winter Springs are also being asked to join Oviedo in helping pay for the project. Oviedo leaders are meeting right now. We'll give you updates on clickorlando.com. All right, let's take you for a live look at the Kia Center thanks to our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera, which is not right there. Your Orlando Magic have a golden opportunity to take a commanding lead in their first round playoff series.
All right, if they pull off a win tonight, they will be on the verge of advancing. A huge game in downtown Orlando. Tip-off is at 8 o'clock tonight. Sports Director Jamie Say has you covered. Let's join her now live. She is there at the Kia Center. Hey, Jamie.
Hey, Ginger. Hello, Matt. Yeah, there's a reason why they call Game 4 pivotal. Like you guys said, if the Magic win tonight, they will take a commanding 3-1 lead in their series with the Pistons and be a victory away from advancing. But if the Pistons do beat the Magic tonight in Game 4 and even this series up at 2 wins apiece, well, then it becomes a whole new series. It becomes a best of 3, and Detroit will seize home court advantage. We know how important home has been to the Magic. They got the job done inside the Kia Center in Game 3 on Saturday, out shooting, out rebounding, and out defending the top-seeded Pistons. We were at Magic shoot-around this morning. The guys said they know the Pistons are hovering on desperation, and they should go all out tonight. The Magic must match that intensity and give even more. Both teams have similar styles of play. It's going to come down to who does it better tonight.
There's not significant adjustments. I think there's minor things here and there, tweak to rotations, tweak to lineups. We know what punches they're going to throw. They know what punches we're going to throw. And I think it's just a matter of how you execute and how you counter at the right time.
You know, once you get here with game 4, you know, I think that's when both teams start to get tired of each other. So that leads to, you know, more physical basketball. Probably more that the refs are going to let go away. So you just got to be prepared for the atmosphere and have to bring the right energy as a group.
So if the Magic win tonight and take that 3-1 series lead, they'll have an opportunity to close out this series with the Pistons in Detroit in Game 5 on Wednesday. If the Pistons win, however, well, then this series will definitely go to a Game 6, which will be right here at the Kia Center on Friday night. It's going to be another electric atmosphere inside this arena. Saturday was the blackout. Tonight, it is the blue out. Fans coming to the game will find these T-shirts at their seats. Tip-off tonight is at 8 o'clock. Live at the Kia Center, I'm Jamie Say. Let's find out the forecast for tonight's game with meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. Jonathan, your forecast for the Magic game is what tonight?
Are you talking about a win? Because, I mean, they better do it for sure. Yeah, I think they'll pull it out for sure. Getting into the weather, of course, walking into the Kia Center, it's looking fantastic. Temperatures back to the upper 70s. The breeze on the lighter side will keep it just a mainly clear sky, just a few passing clouds out there. By the time the game ends, hopefully, with the Magic going up 3-1, it'll also be quiet, so don't have to worry about any kind of rain or anything like that. We have been watching a couple of stray downpours, again, as expected, right along the coast. Otherwise, most of the ones that were pushing inland earlier this afternoon have really fizzled out. The air still very dry in the mid-levels of our atmosphere. We're at 78 right now in Orlando, 81 degrees in Wildwood. We do have more heat and some rain chances on the 7-day forecast. We're going to break down that part of your forecast coming up at about 6:17, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Well, Florida leaders are set to meet tomorrow in Tallahassee, and there is a lot on the line.
Including a potential change to how district mapping looks in the state. Coming up, I'll break down the proposal from the governor, why state Democrats are pushing back, and what it all means for you.
I'm Alex Cook at Lou Gardens, where neighbors are pushing back against a plan they say could forever change this place. They're heading to a meeting at 6 to voice their concerns.
I'm Tony DeCopo. Here's what we're working on ahead on the CBS Evening News. The latest from the Middle East, also the latest on those wildfires in Georgia. But the big question where I am in Washington is security. Was it up to snuff at the Washington Hilton on Saturday? There's a school that says yes, others saying no. A security review is now underway by Susie Wiles, the White House Chief of Staff. We'll have the latest on all these questions and more ahead on the CBS Evening News.
Well, the balance of power could see a shift if the governor gets his way. Governor DeSantis is unveiling a new plan to redraw congressional districts ahead of a special session, which is set to begin tomorrow. So this is a look at the current map. 20 of the 28 districts are held by Republicans right now. District 20 was vacated by Democrat Sheila Cherfilus McCormick last week. Now, Governor DeSantis just unveiled this proposed map right here. It would keep the state at 28 districts. The proposal would increase control, though, if all things held the same, to 24 districts. The governor says the state's population has grown dramatically and districts need to reflect where people have moved. But state Democrats see it as a way for Republicans to just grab some more seats in Washington. Now, here's a look at the balance of power. Right now, Republicans head into midterms with a narrow 6-seat lead with 5 vacancies. Redistricting will be a hot topic at this year's special session, along with passing a budget, their main job that they still haven't done, AI, and vaccine exemptions. Again, that special session begins tomorrow. We'll keep tabs on it. Meanwhile, last year I went to the state capitol to learn more about the plan to redraw district lines, and there was some outrage against it then. You can read that story on clickorlando.com. You can find it on the homepage.
Lou Gardens is known as a tranquil spot of nature in the middle of bustling Orlando, but that could soon change. The city is planning to expand the park's amenities, but not everyone is on board with that plan. A community meeting tonight at Lou Gardens will see people demanding answers about what these changes mean for the peaceful park and the surrounding neighborhoods. News 6's Alex Cook has the story.
Some neighbors are worried this could mean more crowds, more parking, more noise, and a very different feel for one of Orlando's most peaceful spots.
I think it will change the nature of the park. It really should be a park with a fabulous camellia collection and all that comes with it.
Sarah Stoddard lives in the neighborhood behind Lou Gardens. She's worried about the extra noise and crowds the proposed changes may bring. And she's not alone.
I have talked to several of the neighbors who share my feelings that it changes the nature of Lou Gardens and that it brings more noise and an influx of crowds and parking issues and all that to the neighborhood, which we would prefer not to have.
On its website, Lou Gardens says the master plan is meant to guide the gardens into the future with a new visitor center, a lakeside restaurant, an outdoor pavilion, a children's garden, and expanded parking.
But this letter circulating the neighborhood urges people to push back, warning that the changes could turn the gardens into more of an event venue. It warns about potentially noisy lakeside wedding parties, asking, how many times do you need to hear Sweet Caroline?
The focus on it might become more to make that more of a profit center and maybe neglect some of the gardens or impinge on some of the space that is currently devoted to plants and pathways and quiet reflection to something noisier and more intrusive.
Lou Gardens says no final designs have been decided, and tonight's meeting is meant to gather more input.
That meeting is from 6 to 8 right here at the Lou Gardens Visitor Center, and city staff will be on hand to explain what these plans may mean for the future of the park. Stoddard told me she is planning on attending this meeting and wants neighbors' concerns to be part of the conversation. In Orlando, Alex Cook, News 6.
Happening tonight, Sanford city leaders are set to meet to talk about another round of repairs at a troubled wastewater treatment plant. Late last year, we told you about a smelly situation for neighbors. After equipment failures, a permanent solution was installed in December. But now, leaders are looking at more than $500,000 in electrical repairs. Neighbors telling your Sanford community correspondent Mark Lehman issues from the sewage treatment plant kept them away from downtown.
Oh, it was really bad. I could smell it from my home, where I live at. Come out here, couldn't hardly fish. If they shut certain parts down, the scent might come back.
Hopefully they can get it done and we can make some more upgrades to the city.
City leaders are recommending commissioners approve the funding for the electrical work. The meeting is set to start at 7 o'clock. We'll let you know how they vote.
All right, well, the downpours are starting to dwindle. They weren't much to begin with. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas joins us now for a look at that evening and how it's shaping up.
Yeah, and I think it'll be pretty good. We'll keep a few extra clouds out there passing through, especially along the coast at times with that breeze coming in off the Atlantic. There's where we have a couple of the showers now hanging out over to the Atlantic, and they will try to push back in for the morning commute tomorrow. So just an early heads up that mainly right along and around the I-95 corridor tomorrow, a few stray showers are going to be possible. Most of us, though, are going to be dry. We are going to keep the breeze, though, off the Atlantic, so that's why we're running that risk. There are those few downpours again for us as we move forward into the overnight. And there you go, a couple of those stray showers. There's through lunchtime tomorrow. Just a few of those little green blotches on there indicating that chance for a few of them with that breeze off of the Atlantic tomorrow. You see things kind of get squashed down to the south a little bit. There is early in the morning, 8 o'clock on Wednesday, a few stray showers again coming in from the northwest this time as we're kind of in between a few weather systems, but nonetheless, nothing to write home about, and it is not going to increase or help the drought any over the next couple of days. Here's a live look outside Daytona Beach. The surf is a little rough out there because it again is so breezy out of the north and northeast at about 15 miles an hour. That's the sustained wind. Every now and then we've had gusts of around 30 miles an hour. Otherwise, right now, we are still keeping a mainly cloudy sky. The showers, as we just talked about, have shut off for the evening. We're back into the low to mid 70s. May have a few more of these try to fire back up again as we move into the early morning tomorrow for the morning commute. 79 right now in Wildwood. We're back to 79 also in Kissimmee. Back into St. Cloud. We're back to the upper 70s. Holopaw into Deer Park. Good evening. We are at 78 degrees. Now here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Strata Services.
Tomorrow morning should be a very nice morning. We're back to the low to mid 60s across the board. Again, just the opportunity for a few stray showers along the coast. Warmer start in Cape Canaveral. We're back to 73. Denellen, compare that to around 60 degrees. A little bit cooler for us northwest of I-4. Warm day tomorrow. Pretty much right where we should be, though, for this time of the year. We're at 87 in Orlando. Oviedo, good evening. We are back to 85. DeLand, we're going to check in tomorrow at 85 degrees. We're hanging around 90 from Wildwood back to Denellen, right up and down the I-75 corridor with rain chances only at, again, 10% as we keep that breeze off of the Atlantic. Here's a big system getting going. We have a major severe weather outbreak expected across parts of the plains from Missouri back toward Illinois, Kentucky, and in northern Arkansas. Strong cold front that is really going to park itself back off towards our north and west for the next couple of days. Going to act as a focal point to keep all the colder air to our north and west, at least at this point. You do see over the next couple of days, we start to crank up the thermostat a little bit, low to mid 90s as we get in towards the middle and latter stages of this work week. Finally, though, our next weather system comes through, and that does cool us down a little bit back to around 80 by the time we get into Sunday. That's also when our rain chances are really next best chance for widespread rain comes down the pipeline as well. So there we go on Wednesday. We're at 92, 20% shot for a few more stray downpours on Thursday. Otherwise, most of us are dry until we get into the back half of the weekend, hanging around 80 degrees on Sunday. We do jump back quickly, though, into the upper 80s by the time we get into next work week. We'll be right back.
Here's a look at your top stories tonight. 54 Orange County Sheriff's deputies responded to a teen takeover at Icon Park over the weekend. This happened on Saturday night around 7. Investigators say about 1,000 of these teens were out there. The Orange County Sheriff's Office says deputies arrested 9 people.
In Seminole County, we're learning a man rescued his 3-year-old grandson through a window after their home in Geneva caught fire in the middle of the night. It happened early Friday morning. Now the family needs clothes and basic necessity. There is a GoFundMe page. We have a link to it on the homepage of clickorlando.com.
We're counting down the minutes to tip off from the Kia Center tonight as the Magic try to take a 3-1 lead over the top-seeded Pistons. The team coming off an 8-point win Saturday at home over them, winning 113-105. Tip-off tonight is at 8 o'clock. We'll bring you highlights and a recap coming up on News 6.
We know the weather certainly will not be a problem for their play.
Can't use that as an excuse.
It's not windy
Yeah.
inside there. All right, more breaking news coming up at 9 o'clock on clickorlando.com and the News 6 Plus streaming app.
Until then, have a good night, everybody, and go Magic. Bye.